So all these people may say, people who are with me may say, go and take it. Or somebody may say, I'll go and get it for you. So I may get that apple. On the other hand, if it is something bigger, again, though my enemies may not want me to have it. If we are talking about something bigger, those enemies may actually make me weaker, even though I am with more people. So it depends on what you are talking about. So we will do strengths later. In a future class, we will cover strengths in detail. But it suffices to know for now that there is not one strength. There are different kinds of strengths of planets. Vinchodaka bala, Shad bala, Ashtakavarga bala, Sthana bala, Kala bala. There are so many different kinds of bala. And which one to use depends on the purpose. So we will actually start the class with the prayer. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam Yashtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anas Shanvanutibhi Sri Rasadanam Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namah Om Vrishabham Darshaninam Vishwarupamadabhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam Om Tad Vishno Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya Divi Vachakshuratatam. Can everybody repeat after me? Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay, while I was waiting for you, I was just talking about something because I did not bring my recording equipment today, so I had to record it with yours. Anyway, now I saw some of you at the Sri Jagannatha Center SJC conference, and I guess probably some of you thought that you don't have enough background to understand some of the lectures, which is kind of true. Some of the lectures were quite basic, but some of the lectures were a little bit advanced. So those of you who did not attend, you may have missed something. You can get the MP3s from SJC later, or as time progresses, I will be covering those things here anyway. So those of you who missed the event, don't worry about it. We'll have our regular classes and we'll catch up in those classes. What were we discussing before all this, before the conference? What was the last topic that we were discussing? Oh yeah. Okay. So we'll do some more examples today. We'll do some more example charts, because even if you know a lot of theory, finally it is example charts that make you really grasp the concepts. You may understand the concepts at a very high level, but once you start applying them in real charts, all kinds of doubts crop up. So it is very important. Apart from the examples that I do in the class, it is very important for you to try examples. Your own chart, your parents, your siblings, your children, your spouse, as many charts as you can. Get some charts and try it out. And if something doesn't make sense, then bring it to the class. Then we can discuss it. Maybe if it doesn't make sense to me also, then I will say, no, there is something here I don't understand. Or if it makes sense to me or somebody in the class, we can help you. So bring all the examples that confuse you to the class so that we can discuss them. That is the best way to learn. How many of you have at least seen 5 charts so far? At least 5 charts. Very good. Most of you have at least tried 5 charts. That is good. You should see a lot of charts. And even feel free to make predictions. Be brave. Just make predictions. They may or may not come true. That is a different matter. Don't tell the person that this is definitely going to happen. Give them a realistic picture. I am learning. It may or may not be true, but this is what I think. Give them a realistic prediction. That will be fun. Unless you make a lot of failed predictions, you will not become a good astrologer. I can say that with confidence. Unless you make a lot of failed predictions, you will not get your concepts right. You have to, it's a learning process. Like they say, failures are a stepping stone to success. It is a process that you have to go through. So start it earlier. Go through a lot of examples. Let me take another example. Any of you want me to take a look at your chart or any chart that confuses you?
Actually, I don't know my birth time. For last 2 months, last 2 months I worked out. At least I am close to get it. I use the concept.
Okay, we can take your example later. First, let us see if there is anybody who has a chart where the birth time is kind of known. If not exactly, at least, okay.
February 25th.
February
25th.
February 25th,
1963.
1963.
8:45 p.m.
8:45 p.m. for you. Okay. Which town?
Nellore.
Nellore. India.
Yeah.
Okay. So the data is February 25, 1963, 8:45 p.m. The time zone is IST. The place is Nellore, India, 79 East 58, 14 North 26. Okay. So let me save this chart. What is the name of the person?
Santa.
Okay, your. Good. Okay. Now, which area? Which is the area that confused you somewhat, or which is the area that you want the class to discuss?
Nothing in particular. We can pick anything.
Okay. First, let us see if it explains events that we know.
Yeah.
First of all, when you see a chart, if you want to get the time right, always try to identify the divisional charts. Either the divisional charts where he asks questions. If he says something about my career, then you have to go to the Samsa. So you have to make sure that the Samsa Lagna is accurate. So if there is a question, identify the divisional chart based on a question. If there is no question and you just want to look at the chart and rectify it, then a good idea will be to see which divisional chart, in which divisional charts, the Lagna is close to a border. In some divisional charts, Lagna is very safe. It will not change until 10 minutes. In some divisional charts, it will change in 1 minute. So you have to find which divisional chart it is close to. Can anybody tell me 1953, 19 degrees 53 minutes in Virgo, that is the Lagna. Is it close to a border in any divisional chart?
No. Well,
Is it close to 20 degrees?
it's Dasamsa.
Not Dasamsa. See, Dasamsa, in Dasamsa, 30 divided by 10 is 3. So 3 degree multiples are where the Lagna changes sign. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. If you look at 18 and 21, this is kind of in the middle, right? And Lagna changes sign, a sign in the Rasi chart once every 2 hours on average. So if you look at Dasamsa, it will change once in every 12 minutes roughly. Because 120 divided by 10 is 12. So in each sign, Dasamsa Lagna stays for roughly 12 minutes. So it is kind of in the middle. Actually not exactly in the middle, it is in the 2/3 way. If you look at 18 to 21 portion, this 19 degree 53 minutes, approximately this is 20 degrees. So it is 2/3 of the way. So the margin on one side is 2/3, that is, what is 2/3 of 12 minutes? 8 minutes. On the other side it is 4 minutes. So, if you change that Lagna, the Dasam, where is the Dasamsa? Let us see Dasamsa Lagna. If you change the time so that this degree is 1953 goes to 18, then this Lagna will go to Libra. But for that you need roughly 8 minutes of correction. On the other hand, to make it Sagittarius, you just need roughly 4 minutes of correction. But the exact time you can find from Jagannatha Hora. From the software, it is 7:43 and 4:34. So our approximate calculation was more or less right. But that is not the chart I am looking for, because 4 minutes, how much uncertainty do you think can be there? Is it accurately recorded by somebody, or is it approximately remembered by somebody? What is the status?
It is approximately remembered by my mother.
Your mother.
Yeah, maybe it's 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so he thinks that the error could be up to 5 to 10 minutes. So we know that this Lagna could be right, this Lagna could be right, and this Lagna. Scorpio, Sagittarius and Libra. All the 3 Dasamsa Lagnas are possible. So we have to see his career and then figure out which is right. But before we do that, let us look at Navamsa, because in Navamsa we are closer to the border. What are the borders in Navamsa? No, Navamsa is basically 9 parts of the sign. So what is 30 divided by 9? 30 divided by 9 is 320. 3 degrees 20 minutes. 3 1/3. So 3 degrees 20 minutes is where Navamsa Lagna changes, then 6 degrees 40 minutes, then 10 degrees. Again 13 20, 16 40, 20. 23 20, 26 40 and 30. These are the degrees and minutes where Navamsa Lagna changes. These are the 9 parts of the sign. So 19 degrees 53 minutes, is it close to 20 degrees?
Yeah.
Yes, it is very close. It is like,
Right on Mars.
in just a few, maybe a minute or so after his birth, the Navamsa Lagna is likely to have changed from Gemini to Cancer. So his Navamsa could be Gemini or Cancer. Of course, it could be Taurus also. Let us see how much time is needed. So if 30 minutes 9 seconds earlier, if birth happened 13 minutes earlier, then the Navamsa Lagna would have been Taurus. And if the birth happened 28 seconds later, the Navamsa Lagna would be in Cancer. So Taurus is kind of unlikely. 13 minutes from what he says, the error is 5 to 10 minutes. So 13 minutes earlier is very unlikely, even though not ruled out. But we know that Navamsa Lagna was either Gemini or Cancer. So first let us fix that. That will be easier.
But why will you consider only Navamsa as the Samsa? If you go to the...
You can consider all. But if you consider higher charts like Saptamsa, it will change every 2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes.
So if you start with that Dasa, if he says I was born at so and so time plus or minus 10 minutes, you have a 20-minute window. And that covers 2 Navamsas, 2 Dasamsas, or maybe 3 Dasamsas. But if you go to those charts, that covers all the time. If you go to Saptamsa, there will be 8 different Saptamsas that are possible. So you can't rectify using that. Even D24, if you go to Siddhamsa, the chart of learning, every 4 minutes, roughly, every 4 minutes the Lagna changes. So if you take a 20-minute window given by him, there are 5 different signs. So to analyze all those and finding which is more likely is very difficult. So always start with the higher chart.
So we do the chart depending upon how much, what is the range they give?
That is why. Depending on the error range they give. If they say it is very accurate, maybe 1 minute difference, then you can directly go to Siddhamsa or some other chart. You also have to go to the chart belonging to the area that he outlines. If he says, I want to know about my education, will I do my masters? Will I do my masters in the next 3 years or not? Or if somebody comes and asks you, will I drop out of my masters or will I continue my education? Or somebody says, what is the best subject for me to learn? I want to do masters, what is the best subject for me? If somebody asks such a question specifically about their education, then you must see D24. So you must be confident of the Lagna in D24. So you can ask him, when did you do your bachelor's, when did your education stop, what did you do? So you can ask some questions, and using those you can rectify the D24 Lagna. But the problem is when there is a lot of uncertainty, when you have 5 or 6 Lagnas to consider, if you directly jump into it, you will just, basically you will sink. If you jump into the task, you will sink in that because it's very tough. So the best is, even if he asks you about education, ask him about his marriage, ask him about his abilities, ask him about his career, and based on those, try to rectify the higher chart. And then go to a lower chart. By lower, what I mean is bigger number. If you say D24, 24 is a bigger number, so I call it a lower chart. So go into the lower charts a little later. So anyway, to continue the discussion on Navamsa here, let us see when he got married. Do you remember when he got married?
97 May 2nd.
97 May 2nd. Yeah, Drekkanas also changes. But let us just look at Navamsa now. 92nd?
97
Yeah.
May 2nd.
97 May 2nd. I'll just take notes so that I have it. Okay. 97 May 2nd.
Yeah.
So which Dasa gave him marriage?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Saturn, yeah. Let us just go from the Dasa. Mercury, Saturn. Mercury Dasa, Saturn and Dasa gave him marriage. Now, is it, with this Navamsa Lagna, is it possible that Mercury Dasa, Saturn and Dasa would give him marriage? Yes, pardon me, go ahead.
Mercury is Lagna Lord.
Yeah.
So it can give a new beginning, especially
Yeah.
Navamsa
Yeah.
give a marriage.
Yes.
And also Saturn is the 9th Lord.
Yeah.
9th Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's aspected by Venus.
Who is aspected by Venus? Mercury, yes. Mercury is aspected by Venus, yes. And he is also in the 7th from Venus. Not only is the 7th from Lagna, but you should also see the 7th from Venus for marriage. Because that planet owning the 7th from Venus, that is the planet who actually brings the spouse. So here from Venus, if you see the 7th from Venus, there is Mercury and Jupiter. So those are the planets that bring the spouse. So Mercury is certainly, being in Lagna and being in the 7th from Venus in own sign, Mercury is certainly capable of giving marriage in his Dasa, right? Now why Saturn? So you said 9th Lord. Is there anything else? He is in the Navamsa Upada. Upada is the formal marriage. So Saturn is in the Upada. So is he capable of giving marriage? Yes. Okay. Now, had Lagna been here in Cancer instead of Gemini, would that make Saturn more likely to give marriage? Because he is the 7th Lord in Lagna, right? Then Mercury Dasa, is it capable of giving marriage in that case? See, the one basic thing that you have to remember is, when you are timing any event, at the level of Mahadasha, you don't have a lot of options. You can't find that 7th Lord is Jupiter, so you will get married in Jupiter Dasa. That Dasa may be coming when the person is 80 years old. So you can't be very strict when you are judging Mahadasha. But when you are judging Antardasha, you can be strict. Because all the Antardashas have a realistic chance of coming in at a reasonable age. So when it comes to Mahadasha, you have to be relaxed. So even if that Mercury wasn't in Lagna, even if he was in the 12th house, just on account of being with the 9th Lord Jupiter and on account of being in the 7th from Venus, Mercury is capable of giving marriage in his Dasa. On the other hand, Saturn, instead of being the 8th and 9th Lord, if he is the 7th Lord in Lagna, then his Antardasha is more likely to give the marriage. Okay, so certainly Cancer Lagna cannot be ruled out based on what we have seen. So let me. Pardon me? Because he is the Antardasha Lord. Because he got married in Mercury Mahadasha, which is from 1980 to 1997, Saturn Antardasha, which is 95 January to 97 September. Because he got married in Mercury Saturn, I'm wondering why Saturn gave him marriage. Even though he is an Upada, on account of being the 8th Lord, he is not very likely to give marriage in this particular case. On the other hand, if Lagna is shifted, then there is more likelihood. Okay, now let us, the advice that I want to give you based on experience is, when you see something, when something makes sense, don't jump to conclusion. Because there may be some other factor that you are missing. Never draw a conclusion just after looking at it. After looking at it, note down your points. This is what I think. This is possible, this is more possible, this is less possible. Just note it down there and you can revisit it later. You can revisit that later. Look at other factors. Try to use as many factors to rule out something. Because if you want to rule out a particular possibility, you have to be very confident that that is impossible. And for you to be confident, you have to consider multiple factors. So don't draw a conclusion just based on one thing. Now let me go to another Dasa. Even though I haven't taught you this Dasa, this is called Narayana Dasa of Navamsa. If you have the software, you can just make the Dasa. In this Dasa, in this Narayana Dasa, Dasas are of signs rather than planets. So if you look at 97, which Dasa was running? Capricorn Dasa was running when he got married. So why did Capricorn Dasa give him marriage? If the Lagna is Gemini, is Capricorn Dasa capable of giving him marriage? Capricorn is the 8th house and its Lord is in the 2nd house. It's not really that likely. It's not so likely if Capricorn was the, if Lagna was Gemini. On the other hand, let us say we move it to the next time. And by the way, Narayana Dasa does not change when you move the Lagna. It stays the same. But the interpretation will change because Lagna is changing now. We can do that. But again, the problem is, in the Tithi Pravesha chart, we may not have the same border. Here in 28 seconds later, Lagna is changing in Navamsa. If you make the Tithi Pravesha, for all you know, it may be in the middle of the sign. So in 28 seconds, the Lagna may not be changing in the Navamsa. So you may not be able to figure out whether time is this or 28 seconds later by using Tithi Pravesha. So that is why I am looking at another technique using the same chart, using the same natal chart. So apart from Vinchoti Dasa, there are so many Dasas that are applicable, and Narayana Dasa is one of the most perfect Dasas. The thing with Vinchoti Dasa is it is a Dasa based on moon. So it is a Dasa that shows mental outlook. It is a Dasa that shows how the mind is taking what happens to you. There are so many things that happen to a person, and how the mind takes them, how the mind interprets them, how the mind reacts to them. That is what you see from Vimshottari Dasa. And somebody may be getting married, but he may be feeling like he is walking into a prison. I'm not talking about you. But, so in that case, you may not see 7th Lord, Lagna Lord, all these involved. It may be the 12th Lord for all you know. So the outlook of the person can be different from the reality. So Vimshottari Dasa, even though it is good, it doesn't give perfect results always. On the other hand, Narayana Dasa, it shows what is happening on the ground. It shows the reality. So this Dasa is always perfect. So this Dasa should always explain it. So what you can do is you can use Vimshottari Dasa and Narayana Dasa, or if there are any other Dasas that are applicable in that chart, or any other Dasas that are applicable for that particular matter. There are some Dasas that are specific to some matters. Like if you want to see spiritual matters, then you can see Drekkanas, that is another Rasi Dasa. So like that you can choose your Dasas, and when an event happens, it happens because multiple Dasas they are basically, they are all indicating the same thing. So there is this kind of convergence between multiple Dasas. That is why an event happens. So you can use several Dasas to confirm the event. So what I am doing is because I was not very confident. Mercury Saturn could have given marriage both with Gemini Lagna as well as Cancer Lagna in Navamsa. Both are possible. Even though I think Cancer is more likely, I wasn't 100% sure. So I looked at Narayana Dasa. Now Capricorn Dasa giving marriage to that person, that is not so likely if I take the Gemini Lagna. So I took the Cancer Lagna now. Let us see now Tithi Pravesha, because you asked Tithi Pravesha. It may not add any new information for us to rectify. But let us just check that. So 1997, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he got married in 1997. May 2nd. Okay. Who was the Hora Lord? Vijay wants to know who was the Hora Lord. The ruler of the year. Now forget the timing and Tirthastotri. Just look at, that's a good point. Just look at the Hora Lord. Who is the Hora Lord? Shukra. Now, is Shukra in Navamsa in any way showing marriage during the year? The Hora Lord, the ruler of the year, is he showing marriage, likely marriage in the year? In Navamsa, which house does he own? He owns the second house of family and 7th house of spouse. And he is coming into Lagna, a nice beginning. So the very fact that the 7th Lord is in Lagna is strongly showing that he can get married during the year. And the fact that Venus happens to be the ruler of the year, that very strongly suggests the possibility of getting married in that year. And mind you, even if Venus wasn't the Hora Lord, even if he wasn't the ruler of the year, just on account of being the Karaka of marriage and being the 7th Lord and being placed in Lagna, he can ensure that the person gets married during the year. Just this Navamsa in the Tithi Pravesh is enough to tell you that there is a strong chance of marriage during the year. But the thing is, Venus has to have a good relationship with the ruler of the year. Venus should be placed in a trine or quadrant from the ruler of the year. Then he will have a good relationship with him and he will have influence over the ruler of the year. Ruler of the year is like a king of a country. So different people have different agendas. Whoever is in touch with the king, who meets king every day or is on good terms with the king, he can recommend his matter to the king and get it done in the kingdom. Similarly, during the year, planets who have a good relation with the ruler of the year, they have a good chance of getting their agendas fulfilled during the year. And here the fact that Venus happens to be the ruler of the year himself, there is a very strong chance that he gets married during the year. But if you want to time it using the dashas, that is a different matter. Let us leave it. But it is making sense. But now let me illustrate my point. How much uncertainty do we have here? Had the Lagna been 9 minutes earlier, the Navamsa Lagna would change. Had the time been 9 minutes earlier, Navamsa Lagna would have changed. Or had it been 4.5 minutes later, again the Navamsa Lagna would have changed. So based on it, we don't really have any further narrowing down. The narrowing down that we did, we said that the given time is wrong. It is wrong by 28 seconds. You have to add at least 28 seconds so that the natal Navamsa Lagna changes from Gemini to Cancer. We did it based on the natal chart. Unfortunately, Tithi Pravesha does not have any, the Lagna is not close to a border here. So this is not really useful, but it confirms that the chart he is giving is right. There is another thing. Sometimes people give you a chart, but they don't know for sure. Not you, but some people. And some people even mischievously give you a chart. And if you are looking at a politician, there are 2 or 3 different charts. If you look at, for example, Tamil Nadu politician, Karunanidhi, there are 2 or 3 charts that were intentionally given to the political astrological community. If you look at somebody like Sonia Gandhi, again there are 2 or 3 different charts. Nobody knows what is correct. If you look at Vajpayee, there are two distinctly different charts. One in 1924, one born in 1926. Nobody knows for sure which is right. So there are, even the year is uncertain. So they give charts based on different days, different years, and sometimes different times. And sometimes it is done intentionally, because in old days, the horoscope of the king was very secretive. Because if a good astrologer sees the chart, he can identify a time when the king is vulnerable and do certain kind of tantras during that time to weaken the king. There are, even though we are all interested in the sattvic aspect of astrology, there are tamasic aspects as well. And these used to be popular in the old days. So there used to be tantrics who would do harm intentionally to various kings with the help of other kings. So all this is embedded in the blood of Indian kings or Indian politicians, the ruling class of India. So some of them are very keen on not giving the right chart. They intentionally
indicating in the chart.
Well, they often, whenever they give a wrong chart, they make sure that the wrong chart is reasonably fitting their personality. They don't give a random wrong chart. They give a wrong chart in such a way that if you just do a cursory look at it, it kind of makes sense. It's not totally illogical. But the thing is, pardon me? Professionally done. They give a professionally done wrong chart. So the trap that we walk into is, if we don't spend a lot of time, if we just do rough analysis and accept the chart at its face value, our predictions will be wrong. So, in such cases, when you are not sure that the data itself is right, you don't know if Shashanka is texting me, if he is giving a wrong chart, he just wants to have fun, watching me use a totally wrong chart and explain everything in his life. For example, if that is his goal, by using Tithi Pravesha and using all these different techniques to look at the same event, I may be able to find that out. So you can use, by using different dasas, different techniques and looking at events in depth, you not only find the right time, but sometimes you may be able to find the wrong chart also. You may, basically your faith in the chart will grow as you use more techniques and get more consistent results in the chart. Your faith in the chart will increase. The more faith you have in the chart, the better your predictions will be. So that is the idea. And also, as you are learning, your learning will increase. If you see something working, if you use another technique and see it working, another technique, see it working, then your understanding of various techniques will increase. So it's always a good idea. Even if something makes sense, go to Tithi Pravesha, go to other techniques, go to different dasas, look at the transits, use as many techniques as possible and confirm the event. That is always beneficial when you want to make predictions very confidently. When you make predictions just based on a technique, you may fail. But when you use 3 or 4 different techniques and convince yourself, you have a much better chance of being right. So now based on this, we conclude that the Cancer Lagna is accurate in Navamsa and it's not Gemini. Now let us see, now we can go to Drekkana. Because in Drekkana, had the time been earlier, the original time of, what was it, 8:45? 8:45 given by him, the Drekkana Lagna would be here in Capricorn. At 20 degrees, because if you make Rasi into 3 parts, it is 0 to 10, 10 to 20 and 20 to 30. So we cross from the 10 to 20 region to 20 to 30 region. The Drekkana Lagna will also change. So I know that earlier it was Capricorn, now it changed to Taurus. So we can see if Taurus makes sense using the Drekkana also. Using Navamsa we verified it, but use Drekkana to confirm it. Now the things that you see in Drekkana are siblings. Now let us ask him, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have many.
You have many? Elder or younger?
6 elder and 1 younger.
6 elder, he has 6 elder siblings and 1 younger sibling. Okay? Now, let us take 1 sibling and see the events in his life. Do you know any sibling pretty well?
Yeah, I know all of them.
Okay. For example, let us take your younger sibling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, to see the younger sibling, what is the procedure I taught you earlier? How do you see the younger sibling and elder sibling? Younger is from the third house, elder is from the 11th house. But if you have the one immediately elder to you is from the 11th house. If you want the one even before him, it is 11th from 11th. If you want the one even before him, it is 11th from there. So you keep going 11th, 9th, 7th, 5th and so on. For younger siblings, you go 3rd, 5th, 7th and so on. So that is the basic rule. But when you, like in his case, when you have so many siblings, the same sign will come again. There are some exceptions for that. But I will not go to that. That is why I want to just take the younger sibling, because there is only one. It is so much easier. So younger sibling is from the 3rd house. Should you count backward or forward?
Backward.
Normal zodiacal way or backward? Why backward? Pardon? Even sign. So you see whether Lagna is in an even sign or odd sign. If it is an odd sign, count forward. If it is an even sign, count backward. So now, Lagna is Taurus, which is an even sign, so we count backward. So if you count 3 signs backward, 1, 2, 3. So what is the 3rd house? Pisces. So this is the sign that shows the first younger sibling. But you have to look at the Lord. You have to look at the Paka, which means the Lord of that sign. Who owns this sign? Pisces is owned by Jupiter. Where is he? Libra. So now, if you want to give any readings of his younger sibling, you have to use Libra as the Lagna and take that as the reference and judge all the dasas, etc. And you can make predictions about the younger sibling. Okay? Now, if you want to give detailed readings about what career he does, what kind of wife he has, his younger sibling, if you want to give all those detailed readings, you can give, but you don't have a lot of precision because you don't have all the divisional charts for him. You are just looking at one Drekkana chart, which is common to all the siblings, and from that you are trying to decipher the events in that sibling. So you don't have a lot of precision. You can't see everything, each and everything that happens in his life. But major events in the life that are visible to him, that are tangible to him, those you will be able to see. And also this is basically how he views what is happening in his sibling's life. That is what you see from this. Yes, Sugar.
When you took the Jupiter position, take the Libra as the Lagna.
Yeah.
Is that the Lagna of the sibling in these 3 for him?
It doesn't have to be. No, it doesn't have to be. His Lagna doesn't have to be Libra. His Lagna doesn't have to have Jupiter in it. But using this chart and using Libra as the Lagna, you can time events in his life.
True, but what I'm asking is,
This doesn't have to have any correlation with his own chart. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always. It doesn't have to have a correlation with his chart. But it will show some basic qualities of the person. For example, there is Jupiter in Lagna. What can you say about the overall personality of the person?
Very pure,
intelligent.
Basically, Jupiter will show intelligence, and also some religiousness, even though it is Venus sign. Even though it is Libra, some level of religiousness, some level of purity, some level of piousness, and some level of intelligence. Is that basically right, or is it off?
Slightly off.
Okay. So what is?
She is not very intelligent.
She is not very intelligent.
My sister, younger sister.
Okay. It is sister. Okay.
Yeah.
From a physical appearance,
Pardon me?
Can we comment on the physical appearance of the person from Jupiter in the Lagna? Does it mean a little on the starter side?
Yeah, you can, but you also have to see that there are agraphs from Mars and Saturn, so it's not really clear. There are 2 indications: one making the person a little bit thin, and one otherwise. So, but more than that, the basic. If you look at the basic things like whether she is intelligent, what kind of job she has, that should be more clear. So now Jupiter is in Lagna, so one of the readings given was that she will be intelligent, religious. He thinks that she is not that intelligent. So now to get more, just Jupiter in Lagna is not enough to make a person intelligent. What is the house you see for intelligence and ability? 5th house. So who is the 5th lord? So you see the influences of the 5th house also. Who is the lord of 5th house? Saturn and Rahu, and Saturn is in the 12th house. So does that show intelligence?
No.
Not really. 5th lord in the 12th house, that too Saturn. He is anti-Jupiter planet. Even though there is Jupiter in Lagna, The planets controlling the 5th house are anti-Jupiter planets.
Somehow your chart and mine is different here.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Do you have, what do you have? I changed the Lagna.
Everything is the same. Yeah, 8:45, 23, right? 29.
8:45, 29.
29.
Do you have all planets same, Lagna different or Lagna also? Planets also different?
I have Lagna different.
Only Lagna. Okay, change it to 8:45, 29. And if you use a different Ayanamsa, it may be slightly different.
Okay.
If you use Ramana Ayanamsa or Krishnamurti Ayanamsa or something, you may have to change it more. So, okay, now, another interesting placement that you see is, you see Sun in the 9th house. Sun in the 9th house. What kind of results will Sun in the 9th house give? 9th house is the Dharmasthana. Sun in trines, especially 9th house, will make the person very idealistic, very strong principled, and usually willing to force principles on others. Basically, those people will be very idealistic, very kingly, basically, kingly or queenly. They want to force their ideas on other people. For example, people like Rajiv Gandhi, you will get people like Rajiv Gandhi when Sun is in a trine, either in Rasi chart or Saptamsa. They can't basically adapt and they can't change. But at the same time, if you want to look at the career, what kind of career would you expect from this? Would you expect a service person or a business person? Why business? Taking this as Lagna, 6th house has moon and 7th house has no planets. And the 10th lord moon is in the 6th house. So if there is a career, the career is likely to be service. And who are the planets who are influencing the career, influencing the 10th house? Rahu and moon. So does he do a job?
On and off she works as a teacher.
What does he work as?
Teacher.
As a teacher. Now, either moon or Rahu there, can they possibly show a teacher? Yes, Jupiter should be a teacher. Yes, good point. Yeah. Yes, very good point. Jupiter is the 6th lord. Vijay's point is, if you look at the 6th house, because 6th house is really strong, moon is there. Moon is the 10th lord, he is in the 6th house. So, and the lord of that house is Jupiter. In other words, moon is in Jupiter's sign. And Jupiter is the natural teacher. So, moon in Jupiter's sign there, in the 6th house, he can show a teacher, but a caring kind of teacher. The care is given for moon is like mother. So, this is basically, what?
Some lower class like.
Yeah, so, yeah, not a college principal, college lecturer or a university professor or something like that. But if somebody is teaching smaller people before the high school, that teaching is more than giving knowledge, giving wisdom, giving scholarship, etc. It is more like taking care of people. So that fits moon. Moon can be that kind of teacher, especially when he is in Jupiter's sign. So because moon is in Jupiter's sign, the 10th lord in the 6th house, it can show a teacher. But Rahu is in the 10th house. You can look at Rahu in the 10th house. Normally Rahu in the 10th house is not that bad. That will show a diplomat or an engineer. That will show that kind of career. But is Rahu strong there? He is not strong because he is in enemy's house. He is in moon sign. And had the moon, Rahu is in the 10th house and moon sign, had moon not had a strong connection with the 6th house, perhaps Rahu could have decided the career. But the 10th lord moon is going into another Ashtatrikona, the 6th house. So moon will dominate. So when moon is dominating, Rahu in the 10th house is not really capable of influencing the career. On the contrary, being in an individual sign, he can actually give problems in the career. He can give changes in the career, setbacks in the career. He can give what?
Shocks.
Yeah, Rahu can give shocks also. But basically, Rahu in the 10th house does not ensure a strong career. But look at Mercury, how Mercury is placed. Mercury in the 8th house. What are the results for Mercury in the 8th house? The standard results given in literature. Is it good or bad? It's good. Excellent, Parani. Mercury in the 8th house, remember, is a good placement. For a lot of planets, 8th house is a bad placement. But for Mercury, 8th house is a good placement. And you know what are the results for that? 8th house Mercury. That means the person will be widely read. The person will have knowledge about a lot of things. But at the same time, if Mercury is not strong, it can be a jack of all. So Mercury in the 8th house can show a jack of all or a know all. It can be somebody who generally knows anything about everything, something about anything, or it is somebody who is just a jack of all. But usually Mercury in the 8th house ensures that there is knowledge in a lot of subjects. Those people are usually capable of talking on anything. You go to them, talk about anything, they can engage you in a conversation. Now what kind of speech does she have? Who is in the 2nd house? There is Mars in the 2nd house. So when she speaks, do you think she is very strong and stubborn kind of speaker, or very nice, sweet, diplomatic? What would you say about her speech? Very authoritative and very forceful, very...
Yeah.
Okay. So, very Martian.
Yeah.
Okay. So, she has a very Martian speech. Basically, Martian means aggressive. So, she is very aggressive in her speech. But at the same time, Lagna is Libra. You can't ignore that. Even though Jupiter is in Lagna, Lagna is Libra. It's a very diplomatic sign. And the Lord of the Lagna, Venus, is in the 11th house of friends. So, she will be diplomatic, she will be able to have friends. But at the same time, when she speaks, she will be quite aggressive. The speech will be aggressive, but I am not saying she fights with everybody and she doesn't have any friends. From this, she should have friends and she should be basically a diplomatic person. Now, timing of the events. Yes, Kiran?
What about the Rashi Dishti and the 10th house?
Whose? Mercury?
Mars, yeah.
Mars, yeah.
And so does it say that she brings that that aggression into her work as well? So is she
Yes.
a very strict teacher?
There should be some strictness based on the Mars. But another way to look at it is, as far as career is concerned, what is Mars' agenda? Is he somebody who gives career, or is he somebody who breaks career? Why gives? Even though he is the 2nd lord, if you look at the 6th house, see, we saw that more than the 10th house, it is the 6th house. It is the 6th house that is showing the career. Moon in Jupiter sign is who is showing his career. And from there, Mars owns the 2nd house. So always 7th house is marker for the 6th house. So 7th house is always marker to the service. So it stops service. So that Mars is aspecting his own sign. Apart from aspecting the 10th house, he is aspecting this sign strongly. So the marker house from service is quite strong. So that is why she has, like he said she is on and off, she's an on and off teacher. When you see the 7th house strong, it doesn't necessarily mean business, especially because there are no planets there. It can also mean the service basically stopping a lot of times. But your point is also right. Mars in the 2nd house, aspecting the 10th house, that shows that in her conduct in the society, she will basically be a little bit aggressive in her speech. Right? But at the same time, the 10th house has Venus Argala. Venus has an Argala on the 10th house, and Venus is a very diplomatic planet, and he is the Lagna Lord. So overall, she will be a diplomatic person. She will have some diplomacy, some skill in handling people, but she can be stubborn and she can be aggressive in her speech. Now, if you want to time the event,
How do we know that it was a sister or brother for the difference?
yeah, you see based on the planets who are influencing. If you look at the Pisces, the Lord Jupiter. So you should see where Jupiter is placed. Is he placed in odd sign, even sign? What planets are aspecting him? What planets are with him? So based on that, you can figure out whether it's a girl or boy. Pardon me? He is in odd sign, but in Venus sign, and Venus is aspecting him, Mercury is aspecting him. So the influences are Venus and Mercury. And out of them, Venus is strong because he is in Venus sign. So it can show a female. But in Drekkana, if you time the sex of your siblings, it works less reliably than in Saptamsa. In Saptamsa, I taught earlier how to look at the sex of children. That works beautifully. In Drekkanas, it's not that consistent. Sometimes you have to be satisfied with less than perfect logic. But look at the planets who are joining that planet and planets who are aspecting him, and combine that with the Rasi. Then you will get a reasonable indication. But the important thing is, if you want to time events, if you want to time what happens in the life of the sibling. When did she get married?
1986.
She got married in 1986. Okay. Now, is Mercury capable of giving marriage at all?
8,000.
Yeah.
No, 8,000.
Yeah, he is the Upada. He is the Upada
Who's Upada?
from the Tula Lagna. That's it. 6,000. Yes, it is also in Delhi.
One second. Can you go slowly? From Tula, if you find Upada, that will be in.
Yes, sorry.
That will be here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Now, actually, that's a good point. Let us see something about the spouse of his younger sibling. The way you see the spouse is, you don't take the seventh from that. Libra is what shows his younger sibling, his sister, younger sister. If you want the husband, you don't see the seventh from there. What you see is, you see the Upada from there. Because his relation with his brother-in-law is that of Maya. It is a Maya that came because of his sibling. His relation with his sibling is not Maya. There is a real relationship. They were born to the same mother. So his relationship to his younger sibling is through planets. But the relationship to the brother-in-law is only through Maya. So you see only Upada. So if you take this as Lagna, where is the Upada? The Upada will be the Arudha of the 12th from there. So you can find the Upada, find the Arudha of this. An easier way would be, which house is this? From this Lagna, this is the 5th house.
Yeah.
So software does it for you. Look for A5 because this is the 5th house. A5 is here. So this is the Upada. It is in Capricorn. So you can take Capricorn as the Lagna and you can draw some conclusions about the brother-in-law. Now what will you say? There is Ketu in Capricorn and Upada. So overall, what kind of person do you think he would be? Ketu in Lagna could either make a spiritual person or a very rebellious, very stubborn, very tough to argue with kind of person. Either a very stubborn person, sometimes also crazy. Ketu is headless. So it can be somebody who is a little bit crazy. You can't understand why he is acting that way. So it will either give a headless nature, a kind of crazy, weird nature, or it can be somebody very spiritual. It can be both also. Sometimes spiritual people are very crazy and tough to understand also. So is he any of those?
It is tough to argue with him. That is the only thing.
Yeah. Is he basically tough?
He is not very religious.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense because Ketu is in a tamasic sign. Ketu is not in a very nice sign. He is in the sign of Kali Yuga. Ketugan is the sign of Kali Yuga, and Ketu is not in a very very nice sign. That is why more than spirituality, headless nature. Pardon me.
More oriented to Kali.
More oriented towards Kali, but the thing is, with Ketu there will be something strange. It can be spiritual or it can be materialistic, but whatever it is, it will be something strange, some kind of stubbornness will be there with Ketu. Stubbornness and not being amenable to logic. So those are Ketu. Pardon me? Little bit of eccentric, yes. Little bit of eccentric. Tough to understand why he is acting that way. That is because he is headless. He doesn't think before he acts. He just does things without really thinking. It's tough to understand why he is doing something, and it's very tough to convince him that that is not the right thing. So that is a basic characteristic. Based on the planets and Upada and the sign containing Upada, you can get the basic characteristic of the person. And then, again, if you want to time things, you can look at the chart. Yes?
Would you take the A5 as the Lagna for the...
Yes. 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 You would take that as the Lagna for the spouse.
He won the best teacher award for the district.
Who?
My brother-in-law.
Okay, now brother-in-law, what kind of theories?
Jupiter in the 10th house.
10,000.
Jupiter in the 10th house. 6th house has...
So from here, from the Upada, Jupiter is in Venusian sign in the 10th house. So he'll be a good teacher. And he said that he won the best teacher award in his town sometime. So he's basically, the fact that he's a good teacher is likely. So that makes sense. And is he an intelligent person? When we saw his sister, the 5th Lord, Shani was in the 12th house, so we said not so intelligent.
Mercury in the 5th house.
Mercury is in the 5th house. So will he be intelligent? Yes, he'll be quite intelligent. Will he be very individualistic, or will he listen to other people? Is he very strong?
He will listen to others because Mercury.
Yes.
Mercury is a follower.
Mercury is a follower, but at the same time, the Lagna Lord Saturn is in the 9th house. And usually Shastra says if the Lagna Lord is in the 9th house, those people like to be their own bosses. 9th house is the house of boss. If Lagna Lord is in the house of boss, you are your own boss. Those people don't like to be dictated terms. They want to be their own boss. There is a level of individuality, independence and individuality in those people. But the fact is, the planet is Saturn. Saturn is not really the planet of assertion or domination. He is the planet of following. He is the servant. So there will be mixed influence. If you see somebody with Leo Lagna, for example, having Sun in that 9th house in Aries, you can definitely say he will be king-like. He will not listen to anybody. Whatever he says, the world has to do. He never will follow the world. Here, he will follow the world to some extent, but still he will have a lot of individuality. That is what you can see from Saturn. But more than that, Saturn in the 9th house, does it show a religious, spiritual kind of person? No. See, earlier we were looking at Ketu. I said that Ketu in Makara does not necessarily show spirituality. That is not entirely accurate. Even though Makara is the sign of Kali, still Ketu in Lagna can show religiousness sometimes. You can't make predictions just based on the sign. You have to look at other signs also. For example, for Dharma, what is the sign? 9th house. So the Ketu in Lagna, depending on how the 9th house is, he may make the person spiritual or just stubborn. So here look at the 9th house. Who is the planet there? Saturn. Saturn in the 9th house, he is not religious. Saturn will be rebellious. Traditionally is right. Saturn is a very tricky planet to understand. If you have Jupiter in the 9th house, the person will be very religious, very orthodox. But with Saturn, the person will follow the rules. He can, if you tell him some custom or some rule, this is how you do it, he can understand it and he can follow it. But when it comes to believing God, believing in the existence of God, believing in the power of God, usually Saturn or Rahu in the 9th house, they tend to make the person a little bit atheistic. Because of other influences in the chart, he may not be an atheist, but there will be those inherent tendencies of atheism in the person, if Saturn or Rahu is in the 9th house. So those people, but still he will be very traditional, he will follow all the customs and all. But when it comes to believing, he will question, he will tend to question. So that is what Saturn in the 9th house would show. So based on all these things, it is not likely that he will be very religious, but he will be an intelligent and thinking person, and he will be kind of rebellious when it comes to matters of religion. When it comes to especially rituals, when it comes to all those things, he will be somewhat of questioning nature. He will not take it, he will not accept it very easily. He will question things. So that is what we can say. And if you want to look at the timing of events in his life, again using this, if you want to time when the first child was born, when the second child was born, when he joined job, you will not be very successful. These are basically different phases in life from his point of view. So if you look at, for example, Mercury Dasa from 1980 to 1997, how is Mercury Dasa for him? Well, Mercury is in the 5th house, he is the 6th lord, so service, he is in the 5th house, so it is a good period. Mercury in the 5th house shows a lot of abilities, scholarship, etc. And Ketu is in Lagna, and his Dasa ran during this time. So how is this Dasa? For the brother-in-law, first let us see for the brother-in-law. How is it for brother-in-law? Also his stubbornness, all those things will become more clear during that time. He will behave in a stubborn way. But at the same time, and also Ketu, pardon me?
Ketu is also the 11th lord.
Yes, that's what I am coming to. Ketu owns the 11th house. And he is in Lagna. Will he give gains? Lot of financial gains, etc. are possible. But at the same time, Ketu is a badhaka. For movable signs, if Lagna is in a movable sign, the 11th lord is badhaka. The 11th house is called badhaka sthana. If Lagna is in a fixed sign, the 9th is badhaka sthana. If Lagna is in a dual sign, the 7th is badhaka sthana. Just remember this. For movable, it is 11th. For fixed, it is 9th. For dual, it is 7th. These are the badhaka sthanas. Badhaka sthana means badhaka means causing badha. What does badha mean? Trouble. So these are basically troublemakers. So Ketu along with Mars owns the 11th house Scorpio from Capricorn. So Ketu is a badhaka for brother-in-law. Right? So Ketu Dasha During Ketu Dasha, should there be any constant worries? There should be some constant worries. So this is a time when there will be financial gain, but at the same time something or the other that you can't explain. The thing with badhaka is, if you look at the 6th house, it gives worries from enemies. If you look at the 8th house, it gives ill health and other anxiety, tension, those things that have a reason, that have a certain physiological reason. On the other hand, if you look at badhaka, usually badhakas give troubles that cannot be diagnosed. We cannot understand what is happening. These are inexplicable worries, inexplicable tensions, inexplicable nuisance. And as per the Shastra, strictly speaking, badhaka trouble is basically from pretas and bhutas, all the spirits, evil spirits, ghosts. These are the kind of worries. These are the kind of problems that you expect in the badhakesha's periods. Badhakesha gives that kind of trouble. But again, don't look at it as a ghost living in somebody's house. If somebody has badhaka trouble, don't think of it as a ghost, a white thing which looks like this, living in somebody's house. That is not entirely accurate. That is how it is portrayed in movies, portrayed in cinema, portrayed in novels, etc. But that is not really the badhaka. There are so many forces working around us every day, and certain forces, for some reason, because of our karma, have certain impact on us. One day somebody may be feeling very, very frustrated. Somebody may be suddenly depressed about something. It may be something influencing him. Apart from his own soul, there are so many other influences that influence your mind constantly. So it is not, don't look at it from the spooky point of view, like in the horror movies. When we say troubles from badhakesha, troubles from ghosts, troubles from pretas, these are things that are always there. These are not really something that suddenly happens. These are things that are always there in everybody's life. So don't look at it with a spooky point of view. But the bottom line is, those kind of problems they are usually subconscious or mental, and they don't have a reason. So during the Ketu Dasha, it is possible. We can't say with 100% certainty just based on Vishwatari Dasha, but there is a possibility during this Dasha that there will be some problems, either ill health or mental problems or something, whatever he plans going the other way, something like that, which is happening because of inexplicable reasons. If the person comes and tells you that is happening, then you can conclude that it is because of Ketu, and then you can prescribe some remedial measures because he has badhaka problems from Ketu. But at the same time, despite all these worries, Ketu will give gains, being the 11th law. So that is the dual nature of the results given by Ketu. Now, before we conclude this chart, yes?
If we give something to defeat Ketu and remove the badhaka, then we will also remove the gain?
Yes. No, not necessarily. Not remove the gain. If you tell him to pray to Ganesha, for example, or if you tell him to pray to Ganesha for his brother-in-law, it will remove the badha, but it will not basically remove the gain.
It's past the date.
It's past the date, okay. So he finished that Dasha. Now he is running Sun Dasha. Venus Dasha. So how is Venus Dasha going to be? Will somebody make a prediction for me?
8th house.
Yeah, but what houses does he own? He owns the 5th house of recognition, 10th house of career, and he is in the 8th house.
So he's going to rise in his career.
He is going to rise in his career?
No, I don't say.
Because he is Yokaraka. Venus is a Yokaraka. So being the Yokaraka, he should give pretty decent results.
But he's also in the 8th house.
He is in the 8th house. So do you expect some sickness, etc.? Yes. A planet in the 8th house, especially if the planet is in an inimical sign. Here Venus is in Sun sign. He is in an inimical sign. So there is some chance of ill health, and is there a chance of retirement or something like that? If the 10th lord is in the 8th house, it also shows retirement. I don't know how old he is, and this is a 20-year Dasha, but there is a chance of basically end of career during this Dasha. That is a possibility. And Venus is the 5th lord in the 8th house. So if this is somebody who is inclined towards occult, this is a good time for learning occult subjects. But again, whether he is or not, we have to look at the 6th house, 2nd house, 5th house, other house. Probably he is not. But if he is, this is a good period for that. So these are basically the kind of readings that you can give. And what about his sister? How will Venus Dasha be for sister?
Gain, 11th house.
He is Lagna Lord in the 11th house. Even though in Badhakasthana he is at least not Badhakesha. Planets in Badhakasthana are less problematic than 11th Lord himself. So Venus, even though he is in Badhakasthana, he is in the 11th house. Lagna Lord is in the 11th house. So it is a good Dasa for her. It is a Dasa of lot of friendship, gains, etc. So these are basically the kind of results that you can expect. Now, if you want to see something about the children, his younger siblings' children, does she have any children?
Yes, she has.
How many children does she have? 2 children, male or female?
Female. Yes.
So she has 2 female children. Do you know how to see the children from the Drekkanas, children of younger siblings?
Yes, fifth house.
Pardon me?
Fifth house.
Yeah?
Is very children at the present. Saturn is the war. He is in the 12th house. No, 8th house.
No, okay. Let me again make a statement. Just like the relationship between him and his brother-in-law is through Maya, even his nephews, it is through Maya. So the rule is, the standard principle that I was taught is, you take the 9th house from Upada, that shows children. 9th house from the Upada, that shows children. Basically, that is the dharma of marriage. The children that his sibling got are because of the dharma of her marriage. Children are the dharma of marriage. So you see the 9th house from Upada, and that will tell you about the children. But again, to go into each specific child and make predictions is very tough. You can't do that just based on the Drekkana. You need their charts. You can't do it from here. But if you see the Upada, where was the Upada of his sibling? It was in Capricorn. What is the 9th house from there? Kanya. So you will look at Kanya, that will basically show the children on the whole, overall all the children. If you want to take all the children as one unit, then that is the Lagna you should use for making predictions about the children. And individual children, yes? Yes. So if you see what are the influences on Virgo, who are the planets in it and aspecting it and owning it. Those are the planets who are capable of giving children. So one planet, definitely Saturn, is in the sign itself. So definitely Saturn is one planet. Saturn is a planet who is likely to give one of the children. And Saturn in a female sign is likely to give a female child. Now, my guess is that one of the 2 children that your sister has may have a strong influence of Saturn in her chart. Is there one of them like that, with a strong Saturn influence on the chart? You don't know their charts? Okay. It will be interesting. If you see their charts, if this is accurate, then one of them will have a very strong influence of Saturn in her chart. And the second one can be... Yes. So Sun is aspecting, so that can give a male child. Moon is aspecting, that can give a female child. So, and Mercury is the owner, so he can give another female child. But usually, the planet in it is more important, and the Lord is more important, and then aspects are important. That is the order. Planet in it, then Lord, then planets aspecting it. So most likely the first child is given by Saturn, and the second child is given by Mercury. So most likely what I will guess is, the first child will have a strong Saturnine influence in the chart, the second one will have a strong Mercurian influence in the chart, and both of them are capable of giving a female child, Saturn and Mercury. So if that is the case, overall, but again, you can't look at Mercury and Saturn as Lagna and look at the 2 children. Some people do that, but more prudent thing would be just take Virgo as the Lagna and say something about the children overall. Now, how will Venus Dasa be? How will Venus Dasa? How old are the children?
One is 14, another is 10.
10 years old, okay. Now, without getting biased by what they are doing, whether they are intelligent or not, if you just want to take Virgo as the Lagna and judge Venus Dasa, how will Venus Dasa be? Venus, which houses does he own? Second and 9th house. And he is in the 12th house. The 9th Lord, Venus, is in the 12th house. So what would you guess? What would that mean for the children during Venus Dasa? 9th Lord in the 12th house. Yes, Sriram? Yeah. But also 9th house is the house of foreign travels. And he is in the 12th house. So during Venus period, because he is in the 12th house, they may go far away from parents or go to far away places. So that is based on this Drekkana, it's a very strong, there is a strong likelihood that during Venus Dasa, your sister's children will basically leave their motherland and go to a far away place. But overall, Venus is a good planet. Even though he is in the 12th house, he is the 9th lord. So his Dasa will be a good Dasa for the kids. Basically, Venus will be protecting the kids during this Dasa. So it's a good Dasa for the kids. So this is how you see from the Upavada. Now, just to make sure that everything sank into your brain, let us take his elder sibling, immediate elder sibling, and let us see if you can see what are the signs for the husband, for the children, etc. Your elder sibling, is it a male or female?
Male.
And no siblings between you, no miscarriages between you.
There was one.
Okay, so there was one miscarriage.
Yeah.
Okay, that is important. Why was there a miscarriage? Now let us see. The elder sibling is from which house? 11th house. And counting backward or forward?
Backward, because of the even sign.
Because it's even sign. So if you count backward and count 11, which will be the 11th house? Cancer will be the 11th house. So this will show the first elder sibling. The next one will be this, and the next one will be this. Now, why I asked him whether there was a miscarriage or not is this Rahu is a little bit problematic. Usually, when there is Rahu, that shows the end. Or if the next sign is strong, there can be another sibling, but Rahu can also show something that was not right, something that was miscarried. So that is why I asked. We would say Cancer for this sibling if there was no miscarriage. But if there was a miscarriage, that is still, because there was a zygote form, that is his elder sibling. That elder sibling did not survive because of Rahu. The real elder sibling, the one who he considers to be the immediate elder sibling, is actually the second elder sibling. So that will not be seen from Cancer, but from Virgo. So that is why I asked. I wanted to be sure. Otherwise, you will end up taking a different Lagna. All the readings will be totally off. So because there was a miscarriage, and again that makes sense because of Rahu, right? Now the elder sibling that I want you to analyze is Virgo. Where is Virgo Lord Mercury? In Taurus. Is it a male or female?
Male.
You said it's a male. It does not perfectly make sense. You would not really expect a male. But like I said, in Drekkana, judging the sex is very difficult. So let us accept that at the face value. Let us take Taurus. Pardon me? Oh yeah, that is right. But still it is Venus sign.
Venus.
So I would not have confidently predicted a male for that particular elder sibling. I would not have done it. But like I said, I found so many examples where I'm not 100% sure. But in Saptamsa it works beautifully. Somebody raised their hand.
Actually, Rahu, even if Ketu is there also, you can expect a miscarriage.
Yeah. Both Rahu and Ketu.
But Rahu is the Karaka for birth.
He's a Karaka for desire. Yeah, he's Karaka for your own desires. But in the matter of Drekkana and Saptamsa, when you are looking at a sequence of children or siblings, Rahu, Ketu are always the ones who put a stop. In Saptamsa, if you remember, you take the 5th, 7th, 9th, while you are going like that, when Rahu is encountered, that is basically the end of all the children. After that, there will not be any children, unless there is a strong Jupiter in the next sign, making you jump to that sign. So we did a couple of examples in the past, but Rahu, Ketu always show end in these particular matters. And here, because Rahu was there, I asked, even if there was no Rahu, even if there was something shaky about a particular elder sibling or younger sibling, always ask if there was a miscarriage, because miscarriages change everything by one. I mean, basically, you instead of taking the 3rd, you will take 5th, or instead of taking the 5th, you will take 7th. Everything is shifted if there is a miscarriage. Even in the case of children, if there was a miscarriage, suppose somebody has 2 children, but you see 3 children, let us say, and second one has a chance of miscarriage, then ask them if there was a miscarriage. And sometimes I found examples where they tell you there was no miscarriage, but there was, and they did not know about it. If you see that a particular pregnancy may be terminated, I'll give examples later, but based on who terminates the pregnancy, whether it is Moon or Mars or other planets, The termination may happen in few days or weeks or months. So sometimes if the termination happened in the first month, they may not even know that there was a miscarriage. If it happens in the first few weeks or the first month, they may not even know that there was a miscarriage. But if the chart does not explain, for example, you are looking at the second child of somebody, and based on all the feedback that they are giving, if you don't think that it is fitting the picture in the chart, then you may sometimes want to go to the next child and see if that fits. If it does fit, and if there are some indications of miscarriage for this particular pregnancy, you can conclude that they don't know about it and there was a miscarriage. So always when you are using Drekkana and Saptamsa to time the events in the lives of siblings and children, always keep this in mind and always look out for miscarriages. Sometimes they do happen. Anyway, now coming back to this example, so Mercury in Lagna, in Taurus Lagna, so that is his brother, his elder brother. So what would you in general say about his personality? Taurus and Mercury. So what will you say based on that?
Maybe Mercury with learning education goes into
Pretty wise, not wise but smart person, a worldly wise person, a smart person. Yeah. Well, wisdom is from Jupiter, not from Mercury. Mercury gives smartness. Wisdom is from Jupiter. Jupiter is the Drekkanas. So that wisdom is basically a matter of knowing what is right, what is not. That is Jupiter. That judgment, that discretion comes only from Jupiter. What Mercury gives is, Mercury is a copy machine. Mercury, you can give him something, he will copy it. So you read something, you will remember it. That Mercury gives. So that is intelligence in the normal way we use it. Basically that means smart person. Somebody who can easily learn things, very adaptive, very flexible, and good learner. That is what Mercury shows. He doesn't show an intelligent and wise person. Wisdom is always from Jupiter. And Jupiter is, though not badly placed, he is not really a strong planet here. He is in the 6th house. So you cannot really, looking at this chart, you cannot say he is very wise and very intelligent. You can only say he is a very smart person. Now, if you look at the 3rd house, who is in the 3rd house? Rahu is in the 3rd house. So what can you say about his initiative? Will he have a strong initiative and will he be very stubborn? Based on Rahu, do you think he will be stubborn?
He will be stubborn, very strong.
Does he have stubbornness?
Yes, he is having stubbornness. Sometimes my father used to call him Murk.
Murk, okay. The translation of Murk is stubborn. Unwise, stubborn person basically. So that comes from the combination that comes from basically Rahu in the 3rd house. But the difference between his brother-in-law and brother is, one is Ketu in Lagna, one is Rahu in 3rd house. Ketu in Lagna that is a different kind of stubbornness. That is not listening. You think you know, you don't want to listen, you don't care if people understand you or not. You just have your path, you just go. But Rahu is, you argue, you fight with people, you want to convince people. So that is Rahu. So that is the difference between the two. But basically that was stubbornness. And any other planets that stand out, there is Mars in the 7th house. We see from Taurus, Mars is the 7th house. So what do you say about there is a Ritika Purusha Yoga, Ritika Mahapurusha Yoga basically. There is a strong Mars. So what does it mean? Again, very bold and always like a leader of the pack. Gang leader kind of person. Is that what you would say? Mars is in the 7th house, the retrograde Mars, aspected by Rahu. So is he a gang leader kind of person? Always forcing people, telling people what to do, and then thinking that he knows everything. 2nd house he is having Sun. So what does it mean about his speech? What does it say about his speech? What kind of speech? Commanding, yeah, commanding, authoritative. But again, Sun is not so weak. He is in Mercury's house. Mercury is the Karaka of speech. So Sun in Mercury's house, he does not really show somebody who is very aggressive, like he can convince people. He can be authoritative, but at the same time a little bit articulate. There is some articulateness, but at the same time very authoritative in speaking out what he wants to speak. Pardon me? Okay. If you want to see whether he speaks truth or not. No, but Saturn is aspecting, so you don't really know. You don't really know.
Both are.
Do you think he's always a good speaker, always a true speaker?
No.
Because usually when Saturn is aspecting, you can't say that. Saturn and Mars, when they aspect the second house, they don't have to be Satyavadis. They can be Asatyavadis also. Actually, Saturn's influence on Sun is actually quite bad there. Saturn is having Rasi Drishti as well as Graha Drishti on Sun. So that is actually a little bit of unnecessary feature. When Sun in the second house, Sun in the house of, he is an Arthatrikona, he has Saturn's aspect, that person can get into political trouble also. He can get into unnecessarily he can politicize things and get into some kind of troubles with the authorities. What?
Controversy.
Some kind of controversies, etc. So those people have to be careful with their speech. Using their speech, they can get into some kind of controversies. Okay. Is he a tactful speaker, or can he sometimes just speak out his mind authoritatively like a king and then get in a little bit of trouble?
He speaks out his mind.
That is basically Sun. King doesn't calculate. Servants have to calculate before they speak. What does king have to calculate? He just speaks. He basically, as far as speech is concerned, he thinks he is a king. He just speaks like a king.
Should calculate.
And so usually Sun in the second house means he will think he is a king in the matter of speech. He will just speak out his mind like an authority, but he can get in trouble when Saturn aspects. So okay, that is enough. Now let us see about his marriage. Is he married?
Yeah, he's married.
Okay. Now let us see something about his sister-in-law.
Upapada of the 12th house.
Where is the Upada from Taurus? So what you have to do is, you have to take the Upada of this. Because the Lagna, his Drekkan Lagna itself is the Lagna for their siblings. Just look for UL. Where is UL? Mars is here, so UL will be here. So UL is in Gemini. So you can see something about his sister-in-law using Gemini as the Lagna. First of all, what kind of person is she? Is she also headless, like the brother-in-law? No. Who is the planet there? Sun in Mercury sign. So is she a smart person and very authoritative person? Sun in Upada, that shows somebody who is authoritative, either authoritative or from a family like that. Sun in Upada can also show somebody from a high class or political kind of family, well connected, respected kind of family, noble kind of family, aristocratic. Those are the descriptions you find for Sun. So somebody from a high family or somebody who is behaving like that. One of the two is quite likely. Would any of them fit her? What kind of a, is she dominating, authoritative?
No, she's not.
She is not.
She's not.
Okay.
She follows my brother.
Oh, no, I'm not asking about dominating your brother. Because that is a different thing. We are not comparing him and her. Overall, is she a little bit dominating?
She is not.
Okay, so there we went wrong. Now why? Why is Sun in Upada not giving his results? Can anybody venture a guess?
Aspects of Saturn and Moon.
Yeah. So there is a strong aspect from Saturn and Moon. So Sun basically makes somebody like a king, but Saturn makes like a servant. So there is a mixed influence. So probably, so that is the reason why what we guessed is not right. Now let us take that Upada and go further. Now if you look at the fourth house from there, who is in the fourth house from Upada? Saturn is in the fourth house. So what will you say? Is it a good placement or bad placement? It's a bad placement, Saturn in the fourth. So what will you say based on that? Pardon me? Sukha loss. Saturn in the fourth house will basically deprive the person of Sukha. Saturn, wherever he is, he deprives the person of that. And in the fourth house, he deprives the person of Sukha, comfort. So she when it comes to happiness, comfort, Sukha, she does not have a lot of it basically. She has some Sukha. That is what Saturn would show. Now, what can you say about Ketu? Ketu is in the 8th house from Gemini. If you take Gemini as Lagna, Ketu is in the 8th house. So what will you say based on that?
She will have a long life.
She will have a long life, but what are the results given in literature for Ketu in 8? How is her health?
Not very well.
Yeah. Nothing special, but some
She has some health problems once in a while.
consistent problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
But There's one thing I didn't want to let it out. If you can figure it out, that would be good.
About what?
About her appearance.
About her appearance?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come to that. But first Ketu, let's finish the thought on Ketu. Ketu in the 8th house. Pardon me? No, I'm not talking about badhakas. Just Ketu in the 8th house in general, remember that is a combination for bad health. When Ketu is in the 8th house, Ketu burns wherever he is. Ketu in the 8th house will give constant health problems. If somebody has Ketu in the 8th house, they may have a long life, but they will have constant problems. Nothing really serious. And the problem with Ketu is undiagnosable. Not literally, but basically problems that keep coming and you don't really know why they are coming. You don't have a clear explanation of what is happening. Some unknown problems constantly in life. That is what Ketu in the 8th house gives. Now, he said there is something about her appearance. Appearance is tough to find from Upada, but will anybody guess something about her appearance? Does anybody have any guess? Pardon me? Yeah?
Does it mean facial appearance?
Eyes.
Yeah.
See, there's a deformity in the face.
Okay, you are looking at Rahu for some kind of deformity, and you are saying second house is the house of face, so in the face. Or you are saying second house is the house of
Eyes.
eyes. That is good. Rahu in the second house can give some problems in the eyes. Yeah. Anything else? Lagna is being aspected by Saturn. If you take Gemini Lagna, pardon me? Yeah, actually Mars and Saturn both have an aspect on Lagna. So what do you say from that? First of all, do you think she is beautiful or not? Before looking at deformity, usually if Lagna is Gemini and Sun is in Lagna, will he show an attractive, a charming person, a reasonably beautiful person, or somebody who is not beautiful? Sun is a benefic. He's a sattvic planet, especially when it comes to physical looks. Sun is a benefic planet.
However, when we also determine that Sun's influence is not strong, we determine based on the thing that Saturn's influence is not strong.
Yes, Saturn is the 8th lord, and he's Ketu's dispositor, and he's aspecting.
He's aspecting.
Yeah.
And also, of course, Mercury's friend also.
Yeah.
That's all the stuff. So Saturn's influence is very strong. Merit is active.
Okay.
Something wrong with their legs because of Saturn.
Why Saturn shows legs?
I remember reading somewhere that it will cause some problem with the legs whenever Saturn. I don't know where I read.
Are you talking about Kantakaseni? In Kantakaseni, there can be problems in the legs.
The natural zodiac doesn't actually Saturn being a lot of both the 10th and 11th houses.
Yeah.
If you start from the face, eyes,
Right.
I think Sagittarius is eyes and
Capricorn is knees and
Okay. And so does that have to do with this?
Yeah, but basically Saturn is giving some problem. It doesn't have to be always with the legs. If you say it based on the natural zodiac, what?
Can be breathing problems also.
Okay, why breathing problems?
Saturn does give breathing problems.
Okay, first of all, you have to remember that you are seeing his chart, and you are seeing his siblings, and you are seeing his wife. So you can't really know a lot of things from it, especially knowing her physical looks, knowing her breathing, etc. It's very tough. You will know what kind of a person overall she is.
What about the heart? Because
Yeah.
fourth house is Saturn. and
Very good
also-
point. Very good point. That's actually whether it's right or not, based on the Shastra, that is the point that I was looking for. Saturn is in the 4th house, so yeah.
And also in the natural zodiac, fourth house happens to be moon. And I can't
Forget the natural zodiac, because don't say that all his siblings and all their wives, everybody has a certain kind of problem because Rahu is in a certain sign. Don't tell me that. That is totally illogical. Don't use the natural zodiac. Using her own Lagna, Gemini, Saturn is in the 4th house. So some heart problem is possible. That is definitely possible. But more than that, it is basically Sukha. 4th house is Saturn. So definitely Sukhalopa is likely. And Sukhalopa can result in heart problem. See, when somebody has a heart problem, it is because there is no comfort. If somebody is happy, filled with love and filled with happiness, then heart will be healthy. If somebody is inflicted pain and inflicted to bad emotions, then heart will be unhealthy. That is why 4th house shows comfort, and at the same time 4th house shows heart. So based on this, even if he says no, I am very sure that she took lot of pain. Saturn is the planet of pain, and he is in the 4th house. So she took lot of pain. Whether she shared it with other people or not, because of the attitude of his brother, she must have suffered a lot and went through lot of pain and suffering. So Sukha is basically destroyed. That is one thing you can say. And maybe that affects her heart. That is possible. But he asked about appearance, and I don't think any of us are. I'm not really sure if I can guess based on Upada appearance. So why don't you? And all of you took your guesses. So why don't you give the answer?
She was affected by polio in childhood, sibling.
So your guess was correct. Whether it's based on good logic or not, your guess was correct. Okay.
I just wanted to have.
Yeah.
You said whether he says he knows it or not, she might have taken the
Yeah.
But when you started this, you said this is how he sees what is happening in the world. And because we are going to his Drekkana, his Divisional.
Yeah. This is not exactly how he sees. This is basically the reality from his point of view.
Yeah. So if he is not aware of that thing, how does it show up in his chart?
Then it doesn't show up. You have a very good point. But what I mean is he may not say it in front of us or not. So that is basically my point. Okay. If it is something that he is not aware even to a small extent, then it is very unlikely to show up in this Drekkana. So that is a good point. Now about the children. Who will show the children? So Upada, the 9th from Upada. How many children do they have? Only one son. Okay. So he has one son. So let us make prediction about the child later, but how many you can't guess. But how many are possible you can guess. And which planets can give those children you can guess. So is any planet there? There is no planet. So that is ruled out. The Lord, who is stronger Lord?
Saturn and Rahu.
There are two Lords. Who is stronger? Rahu is stronger because Mercury is aspecting him. The rules that you have to use for Saturn and Rahu to see who is stronger are, the first rule, see how many planets are with them. Whoever is with more planets wins. He is stronger. That is the first rule. Suppose they are with same number of planets. Here, Rahu is alone, Saturn is alone. So both are with 0 planets. So both have the same number of associations. So use the second rule. The second rule is Swami Gurugnya Drug Yoga, which means look at Jupiter, look at Mercury, and look at the dispositor of the planet. Look at 3 planets. Mercury, Jupiter, and dispositor of Saturn or Rahu. Out of the 3, see how many of them are either with the planet or having Rasi Drishti on the planet. So if you look at Saturn, see the Rasi Drishti on Saturn. Having, what do I mean? What do I want? Okay. Okay, now, why am I doing in Drekkana? This is Drekkana, okay. So, if you look at Saturn, the Rasi Drishti on Saturn is from these 3 signs. So, Sun and Moon have a Rasi Drishti on Saturn. Does Mercury have a Rasi Drishti? No. Does Jupiter have? No. Now, the third one is dispositor. Who is the dispositor of Saturn? Mercury. And does he have a Rasi Drishti on Saturn? No. So, what is the count of Saturn? 0.
In such a case, Mercury has 2 votes actually.
He gets to cast 2 votes. Yes. If Jupiter or Mercury happens to be the dispositor also, they get 2 votes. Don't treat it as 1 vote.
Now, why is Jupiter and Mercury like the case always?
This is the case always. Mercury, Jupiter, and dispositor.
So Mercury and Jupiter in general have such strong aspect, influence in the whole.
Because of their aspect, they can make one of the 2 planets stronger. Just because of their aspect. Mars and Ketu. It is same with Mars and Ketu in the case of Scorpio. Now,
And why is it Mercury and Jupiter?
I'll answer it later, maybe after 6 months. We don't really say.
Is there no one sentence that may I?
No, there is no one sentence. It's a philosophy, it's not one sentence. So now, excuse me, look at Rahu on the other hand. What are the Rasi Drishtis on Rahu? Now, does Mercury aspect?
Yes.
Yes, Mercury is here. He has Rasi Drishti on Rahu. Do we have to count any more? No. We already have at least one count. But so that the exercise is complete, let us finish. Does Jupiter have a Rasi Drishti? No. Who is the dispositor here? Moon. Does he have a Rasi Drishti? No. So what is the count? 1. So 1 is higher than 0. So Rahu wins. So Rahu is stronger. Now, so the child can be given, one child can be given based on Rahu. Will it be a boy or girl? It's a boy. If Rahu gives, it's likely to be a boy. And moreover, Rahu is in a male sign. In terms of signs, the rule is all the odd signs give male, all the female signs give female, all the odd signs give males, and the even signs give females. But the only exceptions are Gemini, Cancer, and Aquarius, Pisces. Gemini shows a girl, Cancer shows a boy, Aquarius shows a girl, and Pisces shows a boy. Those are the 4 exceptions. So here Rahu in Cancer is very strongly a boy. So again, but here it works. I'm saying that in Drekkana, when you find the sex of children of siblings, it doesn't work consistently, but here it works. So the child is given by Rahu. Again, if you make the chart of that child, it is very likely that there will be a strong influence of either Cancer or Rahu in his chart. It doesn't mean Rahu will be in Lagna or something, but Rahu will be a strong planet. Okay, that is one indication. Apart from it, there may be other importance of Rahu also in the chart. If you look carefully, there will be a strong influence of Rahu. But he says that he was born in Rahu star. Now, so you take what you do is the child was given by Rahu, and this is the Lagna that shows children overall. So if you want to see what happens to the children during various dasas, you see, for example, in Ketu Dasa, he may have moved. In Venus Dasa, Venus is the 9th Lord and 4th Lord in the 7th house. It's a very good Dasa. Again, Venus is a Yokaraka for that particular, for the children of his younger sibling. So children will basically do well during that time. Okay? Now, let us now finish Drekkana. We came into Drekkana to confirm the time. But overall, for his younger sibling, lot of things match. For elder sibling, most things match. So overall, this Drekkana Lagna is likely to be correct. And Navamsa we already confirmed, so this time is right. Now Dasamsa, let's go to Dasamsa. If you go to Dasamsa,
Drekkana was interesting.
pardon me?
It was interesting.
Good, yeah. You can do the same thing in Saptamsa. See, for example, let us go to Saptamsa. How many children do you have? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. You have 2 children. No miscarriages.
No.
Okay. And male or female?
Both men.
Both male. So he has 2 male children. Can anybody tell me if it makes sense? First, who shows the first child? First child is always from the 5th house. But do we count backward or forward? Backward if it's even sign. Is Lagna in an even sign?
Yeah.
It's in an even sign Cancer. So go backward. So this shows the 5th house counting backward is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pisces will show the first child. The Lord is Jupiter. He is in Leo with Ketu. So Jupiter and Ketu in Leo will show the first child. Will it be a boy or girl? Don't say sure because Ketu is there. Ketu could have given a girl. Jupiter shows a boy, but Ketu could have given a girl. But they are in Leo. They are in Leo. So overall, the influence of boy is stronger. He is likely to be a boy. Can you, without looking at anything else, Jupiter and Ketu in Lagna, can you say one important characteristic of the child? One important quality. Very spiritual. Jupiter and Ketu in a very sattvic sign, Leo, not in Makara. Jupiter and Ketu in Leo, in a sattvic sign, definitely shows lot of spirituality. And we said regarding his brother-in-law that Ketu in Lagna can show headlessness. Here will Ketu show the headlessness? He is with Jupiter, the highest planet of highest intelligence. So when Ketu is alone, he tends to be headless. But when Ketu is with Jupiter, he has a head. He has Jupiter's head, which is the best head. So that means the person will be very wise. I'm not saying smart here. About his brother, elder brother, I use the word smart, not wise, because Jupiter was in the 6th house. But here, Jupiter and Ketu in Lagna. So the child is likely, the first child is likely to be very wise, very mature beyond age, very good discretion, good intelligence. And Moon is in the 3rd house. What is the result for Moon in the 3rd house? Is he very stubborn and very argumentative, or very cheerful, very optimistic?
No, he is not stubborn.
Yeah?
Very soft kind.
Very soft, gentle, very cheerful. Moon will show a lot of happiness. So he'll be a very, is that basically true?
Yeah, true.
Okay. Very cheerful, optimistic kind of person. Now, there is Saturn in the 5th house. Even though 5th lord is Jupiter, he is in Lagna showing intelligence, there is Saturn in the 5th house of ability. So what does that mean?
Slower thing.
5th house is the house of scholarship, accumulating things. So he is a very mature and wise person with very good discretion, but his intelligence may not be showing up that well. Saturn in 5th will show a person a little bit slow in learning and in getting scholarship. So he may not do as well at school as you would expect, but he is a very intelligent person, no doubt about it, because of Jupiter's influence.
But we should see A5, right, for that to do in school.
Yes, but here when you are looking at Saptamsa, you don't give so much importance to the Arudas. Arudas have a different role there. So try to judge everything from the sign itself. The Maya there is different. So Saturn. Now what else? There is Mars in the 9th house. There is Mars in the 9th house. What will you say based on that? Mars is in the 9th house.
That was pretty strict.
Pardon me?
Very lucky.
9th house is the house of? 9th house is the house of? Yes, Mars is Yogakaraka, so he has a good yoga. But more than that, 9th house is the house of Dharma. So when it comes to Dharma, he will be very fiery. Mars is a fiery planet in a fiery sign. So in the matter of Dharma, he can be very strict and he can be very fiery. That means he can be very religious. Unemotionally just do it. Had Saturn or Rahu been in the 9th house, the person would have had atheistic tendencies. But because Mars is in the 9th house, it's not atheistic tendency, but it is a tendency of just follow the procedures that he is given very strictly. Very strict in the matter of Dharma. And it can also show, Mars in the 9th house can also show living abroad or going abroad, leaving the native country, etc. And what kind of spouse will he get? He is not married, right?
No.
How old is he?
It's 6 years.
He is 6 years old. But if he gets married, if you want to say something about the kind of spouse he will get, what will you do? Again, same principle. Upapada. So how do you find the Upada? Now take this as Lagna. Upada will be Arudha of this sign. So look for AL. Because this is Lagna, look for AL. Where is AL? Yeah. So this will be the spouse. So what kind of a spouse will he get? Pardon me?
Passion and compassion both.
Yes. Moon and Libra. Moon in Libra. Libra is a very diplomatic sign. And Moon is a very sattvic planet. And Moon in Venusian sign will be very gentle. So the person, the spouse that he will get will be very gentle, very caring. Pardon me? Can be creative. Can be creative. Can be a good singer also. Can be a good singer, but whatever we want we can say because we don't know the truth. There's nothing to check again. But if you just want to...
I can only confirm it after 20 years.
Yeah. Right. But basically it will be somebody very gentle. That you can say with confidence. Certain things you can say with lot of confidence. Moon shows so many things. All those things you can't be confident about. But the basic thing Moon shows is very gentle, very sattvic, very gentle, good with everybody, no enemies, that kind of person. And will she be very, what kind of speech will she have? Will she be very aggressive in her speech or very... Mercury is in the 2nd house. So, natural speaker. She will be a good orator, very articulate, very gentle speech, but at the same time very articulate speech. So these are the qualities of the spouse. And what about children?
Actually, I am lost now. Upapala, the 12th house, 12th house not his moon. How did Upapala enter with the Sun with moon?
Oh, okay. The rule is from here, the Lord is in the 4th house. So take the 4th from there, right?
Yeah.
It is here. The exception is if the Arudha that you found of a sign falls in the sign itself or the 7th from it, it is not allowed. Then what you do is you take the 10th from what you found.
10th from what?
Yeah. So here it is falling in the 7th from Cancer. So if the Arudha falls in Cancer itself or Capricorn, it is not allowed. So you take the 10th from there, that is why you got this. That is an exception given by Parasara. So I covered that before you joined the class. So anyway, now children, what can you say about children? First, take the 9th from Upada. This will be the fruits of marriage, the dharma of marriage. So that will be the children. So is there a planet there? If there is a planet, that will give the first child. That is likely to give the first child. Sometimes the order can be reversed. But Venus in Gemini, is it a boy or a girl? Venus in Gemini is likely to be a girl. So the first child is likely to be a girl, even though we can't be confident. But very likely to be correct. 80% confidence you can say. But 20 years later he will come and find you. So, but the thing is, one child with a strong Venusian influence in the chart, and where is the Lord? Mercury. Mercury is in Scorpio. That can be a boy or a girl, but one boy dominated by Venus, one girl dominated by Venus, and one child dominated by Mercury. So that is what you can expect. And if you want to see what happens in the lives of his grandchildren from the first child, you can take this 9 from Upada as Lagna and look at the Dasa. You can look at all the Dasas. For example, now he is learning Venus Dasa, then he will learn Sun Dasa, then he will learn Moon Dasa, then he will learn Mars Dasa. You can look at, for example, Mars Dasa. Will it be a good Dasa for grandchildren? Yeah. You take the 9th from Upada. Gemini has Lagna for the child, for the grandchildren. So from there, Mars is the 6th and 11th Lord in the 11th house. 11th Lord in 11th house gives lot of gain. For me?
Okay, including family.
I'm not talking about family. Overall, lot of gains. It can be financial gains, it can be gain of friends, it can be lot of gains. But this will be, Mars Dasa will be a great Dasa for the grandchildren. And Moon Dasa, how will it be for grandchildren? This is not for a specific grandchild. Overall, for grandchildren coming from the first child.
5th house.
Moon is the 2nd Lord in the 5th house. So it shows fame. Moon in the 5th house shows fame. So at that time, he may or may not even have the grandchildren. By 2040, your first child will be around, yeah, he may have.
He will be 40.
Yeah, he'll be 46. Yeah, he'll be 42. So by the time he is 42, yeah, grandchildren will be there, maybe there, yeah. So basically grandchildren will be very young at that time. They will be like in their teens, probably. So even though they are in their teens, the fact that Moon is in the 5th house shows they will probably do well in education. They will have a very good time. Basically, they will get fame, which means they will be successful basically. So Moon Dasha and Mars Dasha are very good for the children, right? And Rahu Dasha, will it be good Dasha? Rahu is the 9th Lord in the 9th house, so that may show some foreign connections, going abroad or doing something abroad or that kind of thing. Those are possible in the Rahu Dasha. But Moon and Mars are really the best Dasha. Mars is the best Dasha. There will be a lot of gains. He will see a lot of gains for his grandchildren. So like that, you can see children and grandchildren. So for children, look at the 5th, 7th, 9th and so on. For spouse, look at the Upada. For grandchildren, look at the 9th from Upada. Those are the basic principles for judging what happens in grandchildren. So the rules are the same, whether it's Drekkana, D3 for seeing siblings, or whether it is Saptamsa, D7 for seeing the children and grandchildren. The rules are basically the same. Direct relations you see from the houses, and their spouses, their children you see from Arutas, because their connection to you is because of the Maya. And now let us finish by looking at his Dasamsa. If you look at the Dasamsa, the Lagna, how close it is. 8 minutes 11 seconds earlier it will change, but if we do that, Navamsa Lagna will change. We did not like Gemini Navamsa, if you remember. We changed it to Cancer, and we don't want to go back. So that means it cannot be the previous sign, but 4 minutes later it can be the next sign. So Dasyansa Lagna could be either this, Scorpio, Jupiter in it, or Sagittarius with Moon in it. So which one is explaining his career better? So we want to see that. Now what is your career?
I'm computation management.
Okay, basically in the computer world and doing some administration, management, etc. You are a clear case administrator. But apart from what you are doing now, overall in your career, you are doing similar things.
Yeah, basically I was in the electronics industry, in computer industry.
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay.
So started as system administrator. The same, similar things continuing all the time.
Okay. Okay. So he is basically in the computer world and he is basically a system administrator. Now, would that make sense with this? Can you explain that using this Lagna?
6 having Rahu and Saturn.
Yeah, 60 is having Rahu and Saturn. Yeah. So compared to the 10th house, 6th house is really standing out. And what do Saturn and Rahu show? What kind of career do they show?
It shows routine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Saturn shows routine. Saturn and Rahu actually both will show routine work. And yeah, depending on where he is, Rahu can show routine work also. Yeah, we can see that also. But just based on Saturn and Rahu in Aries, what can you say? First of all, they are in Aries. Rahu in Aries, what will he show? Can he show electronics? Research, okay, but Mars, Rahu in a Martian sign, can he show electronics and computers, etc.? Yes. Aries is the sign of high tech, and Rahu is the planet of research, finding out things, digging into things, and finding out things, etc. And abstract thinking. That is Rahu's nature. And Rahu in a Martian sign can show electronics. Now, let us see the deities. I'll go to Dasamsa, but I'm just curious. Sun is very strong. Okay. D10. Yeah, I was curious. Okay. Okay, Rahu in Brahmamsa. So what would that show? Rahu is the planet of digging, he is the planet of research, he is the planet of exploring things. And he is in Brahma Samsa. So what does that mean? Brahma is the planet, Brahma is the deity who shows digging and finding things and organizing things, systematic being, systematic, etc. Right? So this is not just research. Niriti can also show research, but that will be crossing the boundaries. Niriti shows crossing boundaries, doing something novel that nobody thought of. Brahma is not that. There is something already there, already created. You want to dig deep and organize things and understand it clearly. That is Brahma. So basically, Rahu in Brahma's Dasamsa, he can show somebody who either keeps monitoring things, digs into things and organizes things. That is definitely a possibility. There is also the chance of doing some research into some different techniques, finding out what works, etc. So that possibility is also there. That kind of research kind of work is also there. R&D kind of. But overall, Rahu in Brahmasa can certainly show organizing things.
That's what the administration, right?
Yes. And what about Shani? Now Shani, apart from Rahu, Shani is quite strong there. He is in Nicha. So Shani is quite strong. So if you look at Shani, basically if a planet is in Nicha, by the way, I just want to say it for those who are listening in the MP3, when I say that Nicha planet in Dasamsa is strong, I am not saying Ucha planet is weak, because in the conference some people came with the notion that Ucha is actually bad. Ucha is not bad, but Nicha is also good in Dasamsa. Ucha is akin to the state of excitement. It is basically akin to male state, the male energy of the universe. And debilitation is akin to the female energy of the universe. So debilitation shows patience, perseverance, etc. And exaltation shows excited, being very happy. So if a planet is excited or exalted, it means if things are coming easily to it, it will give good results. Otherwise it will not give good results. If a planet in exaltation is expected to work hard or make you work hard, he will not make you work hard. It will actually give bad results. So exaltation is, a planet in exaltation is akin to somebody who is excited about something. And a planet in debilitation is akin to somebody who's not so excited, who has to patiently do things. And for Shani, especially Shani is the planet of hard work, he is in the 6th house of work here. So if he is in Nicha, what it shows is the person will very hardworking, just keep doing things. So the person will be very hardworking, very focused. So Shani is quite strong along with Rahu there. What is the Amsha of Shani? Yama Amsha. What does Yama show? Yama shows being unattached, unemotional. Just do your dharma. Maintain the dharma. Wherever you are, maintain the dharma. Duty minded. Those people can be SQA people or system quality assurance people, finding bugs, finding things, making sure that bad things are caught. They can also be like network administrators, ClearCAD administrators who basically make sure that there are certain rules. They make sure that the rules are not broken. So he's like the Yama.
Next time I have to look at the chart for a hierarchy.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So Shani and Rahu in Yamamsa and Brahmamsa shows somebody who's organizing things and keeping certain orders. And is it clear case or CVS? You can't see from this chart. But somebody, or is it relating to software, or is it relating to hardware, or is it quality assurance? Those things are very tough to find. But overall, based on Rahu in Brahmamsa and Shani in Yamamsa, you can say that it is somebody who's digging deep and organizing things and making sure that the order is kept. Rahu makes him organize things, and Shani makes him ensure that order is kept, ensure that the particular order is kept. So that is basically what Shani and Rahu are showing.
Is there any changes anytime?
Okay. So you want prediction? We will come to that. But first, let us finish the thought. Now, the 6th house is really dominating. Now let us see the Dasas.
Actually, second house of resources is in Lagna, Jupiter.
Yeah. So second house is the house of resources, and the Lord is Jupiter. He is in Lagna. So all the resources basically being used in the work that he does.
So he himself is a resource for him.
Yes, that is true. And his intelligence, his wisdom is his resource. Jupiter is the significator of wisdom and judgment and discretion. And he owns the second house. That means his wisdom, his intelligence is one of his resources. And he is in Lagna. If Jupiter is in Lagna, one will use his intelligence in what he does. So he will be an intelligent person. And what is the image he has at his work? Suppose I ask you, what is the image that all his colleagues have of him at his workplace? So for that you see the Arudha. Where is Arudha Lagna? Arudha Lagna is in Pisces with Mercury in it. So what is the image that he has? Pisces is a very sattvic image, very nice person, very calm person. That is the image. And Mercury, what is the image because of Mercury? Somebody who is smart, somebody who is very clever. And Mercury in Nietzsche can also show a flip-flopper kind of image. By flip-flopper, what I mean is somebody who is very flexible, adaptive, considering too many things, sometimes even a little bit indecisive. So I don't know if it is true, but it is also possible that people at your workplace consider you a very smart and clever person, but sometimes they may be a little bit frustrated because you are a little bit indecisive. You want to take a little bit of extra time to make certain decisions, and people at your workplace may be expecting quick, immediate kind of decisions, and they may consider you a little bit indecisive and a little bit too flexible. Does it make a little bit of sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so that is what people think about Arudha Lagna. But what is the reality about him? Look at Lagna. Scorpio, Jupiter. So he is pious, okay, but Scorpio is a fixed sign. So he is very fixed. He is not like, pardon me? He is pretty firm. And also Jupiter is there. So that firmness is coming because of clear knowledge and clear discretion. That is the reality about him. But what people think is, they don't think badly of him. Mercury is a very good planet. Had Saturn been in Arudha Lagna, it would have been a different kind of image. But Mercury, that too in a Jupiter sign, being in Arudha Lagna clearly shows people have a very good respect of him. They think he is a very clever person, very smart person. They think if you have a problem, he will find a solution. That is the image people have. But Nietzsche Mercury will have certain weakness. So some adaptivity and flexibility will be seen in a negative way because of the Nietzsche. Now, he wants to see. Pardon me?
Both planets are irritated.
Yeah, that is true. 4 planets are 4 planets? Next one. Yeah, 4 planets are debilitated. There are 4 planets debilitated. Very hard-working person. Now, what are the dasas ending? He wants to see if there is a change in his career. What do you think? Let us go back here. Shani and Rahu are giving the primary career. Shani and Rahu. Now, who are the other planets who can control his career? Moon is the, why Moon? Because he is in the second house, but that's a very weak link. Who is the 6th Lord? 6th Lord is controlling. He is the landlord of these 2 planets. He controls them. So Mars is another important planet. Though he is in Nicha, Mars is in the 9th house. So where is Mars? Mars is in Vayu Amsa. And what kind of career will Mars show? Mars is basically engineering. Mars is an engineer. He is a natural engineer. And he is in Vayu Amsa. What does it mean? Pardon me? He is an airline. A planet in Vayu Amsa, Vayu is basically air. Wind. Not air, wind. A planet in Vayu Amsa basically works towards strengthening something. Creating some strength. So if Mars, the planet of technical things, is in Vayu Amsa, it can be increasing the strength of other people. So he can be, for example, he can be creating strength in other people. When he is a network administrator or clear cache administrator, he is basically creating strength for other people. He is creating that wind which can be used by the other people. Or it can also be a trainer, some kind of a trainer. If somebody is a trainer, what he's doing is, he's taking somebody who's weak in a subject and making them strong in that subject. Vayu is the planet of creating strength, taking somebody who's weak and making him strong. But he can also show wiping out people. If somebody, because wind is basically, when it is destructive, it can blow off the whole town or village, right? When there is a hurricane, wind can destroy a whole village. So similarly, Vayu can be destructive also. But in the positive sense, because here Mars is debilitated, so I am using the positive sense. In the positive sense, Vayu can be creating strength. So what you can suggest based on that Mars is, what he is doing makes perfect sense. He is a clear cache administrator. He is making sure that there is a particular order so that people can do their job better. So he is creating the strength for the people. So creating the technical strength for the people. So that fits perfectly. Another possibility is he can basically impart knowledge to people, train people in clear case, or train people in some other thing. So some kind of training, because Jupiter is aspecting that Mars. Jupiter is aspecting that Mars, and Mars is in the Vayu Amsa. Usually Vayu Amsa is favorable for teaching, because when you are teaching, you are imparting knowledge, you are empowering people, you are boldening people. So some kind of teaching is also favorable. But I don't really see any other kinds of career. This kind of technical career where you have to go into detail, not very high level, but dig deeper. Some people, after a certain level, they rise in their career, they don't really bother about the nitty-gritty. But Saturn and Rahu in such strength shows me that your career will most of the time be relating to nitty-gritty. Pardon me? Detail-oriented. It is Saturn, Rahu, Brahma, Yama. So it's always detail-oriented and discipline-oriented. So I don't see, in my honest judgment, I don't see any other kind of career as being suitable for you. But change of job is possible. So let us see what Dasa and Dasa he is running. He just finished Ketu Dasa. Can somebody tell me how Ketu Dasa was? Ketu is in the 12th house. Lagna Lord in the 12th house, in the Moksha Sthana. So is it a good placement? No. Lagna Lord in 12th is not a good placement. It's not a good placement at all. So this is basically Lagna Lord in the 12th house means some level of detachment will be forced on the person. And he may not enjoy himself fully. He may basically give up to some extent. So the last few years are not really that great.
Only with respect to career, right? No? Yeah,
this is only career. He is laughing. I don't know what it means.
I am married. I am married during this period. So everything only giving.
No, I am talking about career. Career is just giving doing what you are doing, just doing it as a job, basically, not really enjoying yourself. Because Lagna Lord Ketu is in the 12th house, very likely that you are not enjoying yourself fully. Okay, he said, yeah. Now that is Ketu Dasha. But the good news is, good or bad we'll figure out. But the news is, Dasha is changing. He just changed into Venus Dasha. How will Venus Dasha be?
Venus is good actually.
Before good or bad, is Venus a good planet for service, or does he want to put a full stop to service? What houses does Venus own? He owns the 7th house and 12th house. 12th house of love and 7th house of desire. And if you take the 6th house of service, both of them are Margasthana. From the 6th house, this is the 2nd house. From 6th house, Aries, Taurus is the 2nd house and Libra is the 7th house. Both are Margasthana. 2nd and 7th are the Margasthana. Particularly, this is a strong Margasthana. So, he is the Marga Lord for service. And of course, 7th house is also the house of desire, strong desire and business. So, Venus will plant the bad seed of, why don't I have my own business? Why don't I become independent? Why don't I do a business? He will have strong desire. Whether really gains will come or not, we'll see that later. But first of all, Venus will make him think, why am I working for this company? Why am I working for this person? Why don't I do something of my own? That is what Venus does. That is what Venus Dasha will bring into his life.
He already started thinking.
Yeah. And usually when Dasha changes, things can change a couple of months earlier also. The results can kick in a couple of months earlier also. So for the last couple of months, you may say that he's thinking in terms of, why should I work? Why not do this? Why not do that? So this is the time when he is exploring various things, but only conceptually. Now, is it good for him? Should we advise him to have a business of his own? First of all, is 6th house strong or 7th? 6th house is much stronger. 7th house is quite weak. It does not show a strong businessman. And then what Amsa is Venus in? Anandamsa. He is not in Kubera Amsa or something. He is in Anandamsa. So if the strong desire is focused toward the spiritual direction, there will be a lot of gains. But as far as money is concerned, Venus does not seem to show. He shows a desire, but he does not seem to show fulfillment of the desire. Even though he is in the 11th house, he is in Nicha. He is in Nicha in the 11th house. So, during this Dasha, if he has any thoughts of business, as an astrologer, you should advise him to stick to his job. It is better to be in your job. You have a wife and children to take care of, nice children to take care of. So concentrate on your career. That is what you should advise him as an astrologer. That is the honest advice. But at the same time, because Venus is the 7th lord in the 11th house of gains, there can be some gains from independence. So if he works as a contractor and charges a little higher, there may be some gains from that angle. So that is possible. But if he starts his own business, that may be a little bit bordering on disaster. So that is what you should advise him as an astrologer. And is that change possible? The very fact that he started the Dasha Marka to service is why he is asking about change. When he asks you about change, he is not asking about changing from one job to another job. He is not too happy with what he is doing. He wants to do something totally new, or maybe some venture kind of thing. That is what he subconsciously has in his mind. So that is why he is asking us. When somebody comes and asks you, you also have to look at what are the dashas going on, and you can say something that he hasn't spoken. You can understand something that he hasn't explicitly spoken. Basically, the situation is he is inclined towards business or independence. That is why he is asking us about change. Is that possible? Well, it is possible because Venus Dasha is running. It is possible. But your advice to him should be some level of independence is fine, but don't break the service. The service is what will bring you money. So that is what you should advise him. And look at the Tithi Pravesha, just for completeness. Look at the Tithi Pravesha, the current year. Can somebody tell me how is this year? The Hora Lord of this year is Sun. The Tithi Pravesha chart of 2004 I cast. The Hora Lord is Sun. Yeah. So, yeah, let us look at Dasamsa. Focus on Dasamsa. How close is it to a border? 3 minutes 11 seconds later. Basically, it is 24 to 27 is one Dasamsa. It is at 26 degrees. The Lagna is at 26 degrees. So it is basically at the same percentage of the sign as in the birth time. So we can be sure that this is right. Now, if you look at this particular year, the Hora Lord Sun is the Lord of 11th house of gains, and he is in the 7th house of desire. So he wants power. He wants some new power. He has a strong desire during this time. During this year, he will get that strong desire of having a business or being his own boss. That strong desire will take root in him during this particular year. So even though the Venus Dasa came recently, this particular year started in February. So since then, he may have been thinking about, his desires may have increased. He may have been thinking about a business or doing something new in his career, doing something a little bit risky. He may be thinking about it since February, after this new year started, right? And do you think that will be beneficial for him? You cannot judge that based on just a Tithi Pravesha chart. You have to look at the natal chart. If the natal chart does not show that business is good for him, just because the Tithi Pravesha chart shows it, don't tell him to go into business. Do you mean that he should do business this year and go back to service next year? Yeah, if you look at the next 3 or 4 years, if you see that there is a strong chance of success in business, then maybe you can advise him. But overall, natal chart should take the precedence. If the natal chart shows that service is good, tell him that service is good. But he can do something in the sidelines. Basically, your advice should be, if he is so strongly inclined towards business, I don't know about Satanka, but if somebody is strongly inclined towards business, it may be difficult to say no, but tell him, don't risk your job. Don't resign your job and do business. Do something in the sidelines, make it grow and then resign. So that is what you should tell. So to him, your advice should be, do something in the sidelines and try for independence within your career. See if you can work as a contractor, see if you can find a better job. So that should be your advice rather than leaving the whole service. Okay. Now, how is the current period? He is right now running Rahu Dasa. Is it a good Dasa or bad Dasa? Yeah, Rahu is in the second house. For Rahu, second house is not a good house. 3rd, 6th, 11th houses are good houses for Rahu. So this is not really a good house for Rahu. He is not well placed. And Rahu is in the second house. So he will put a crunch on the resources. So who is very good? Venus is good. Venus is the Lagna Lord in the 9th house. So during Venus Dasa, there will be some independence. Like I said, Lagna Lord in the 9th house will make him his own boss. So there will be a lot of independence. Either boss listening to him or he dominating the boss. But overall, he will have a lot of individuality, independence during that period. So Venus Dasa is coming at the end of this month.
And he's also the 8th Lord.
That is fine. He is the 8th Lord. But he is the Lagna Lord also. He is Lagna Lord also. But being the 8th Lord, there can be some kind of change. Not necessarily a change in the job, but some kind of change in his work environment is possible. And it will be good change because Venus is a benefit planet. He is the Lagna Lord. He is a functional benefit for this Lagna. So during October 25 to January 9, basically during the last couple of months of this year, there is a good chance that there will be a positive change in his workplace and he will have some more independence compared to what he has now and less interference from bosses basically. You will be given free hand in doing what you do. So that Dasa is a very good Dasa. So Venus Dasa is a good Dasa, and after that in January Sun Dasa is coming. So if there is if you get an opportunity during January, you may consider that opportunity. That is the right time for pursuing any opportunity. But don't risk your career because your basic chart, maybe a couple of years may be an exception, but overall your career is likely to be service. Okay. Now, before we conclude, one last thing. I want you to find about the second child. He has a second son. Who will show the second son? We saw the first son from Pisces. Second one will be third from there. So Capricorn. Where is Capricorn? Saturn. Where is Saturn? He is in Sagittarius. So compared to the first child, is the second child likely to be a little bit more stubborn, or is he also very gentle and optimistic?
Stubborn.
Saturn is in Lagna. That shows some kind of selfishness or some kind of meanness, and the third house has Rahu. Even though he is strong, third house is Rahu. But Rahu is not bad here. He is in his own sign Aquarius. But still Rahu influencing the third house means lot of strong initiative and some level of stubbornness. So compared to the first child who is gentle, is the second child a little bit more stubborn? That is because of Rahu. More demanding also. Demanding is because of Shani. Rahu is because he wants to influence, he wants to force his view. That is because of Rahu. And he is demanding because Vijay says he is selfish. That word may be a little bit harsh because after all it is Jupiter's sign. And Jupiter is having Radhrishti and Shani. So Shani in Sagittarius will not make a person very selfish. But there will be some level of selfishness. Saturn in Lagna will give some level of selfishness. Some level of using all the resources for himself. Jupiter will give and Saturn will take. So Saturn in Lagna will mean what you said, a little bit more demanding, fits with Saturn there. And Rahu will mean he will be a little bit more stubborn. But at the same time Jupiter and Ketu are in the 9th house. So he will be dharmic. He will follow the dharma, he will follow the rituals, he will follow the procedures. But there is some level of stubbornness and he is not at peace with himself. The first child, because Jupiter is in Lagna and Moon is in the 3rd house, he is cheerful, he is basically at peace with himself. The second child relatively is not so at peace with himself. He has certain inherent unease within himself. And that is why he is demanding, that is why he is forceful. That is basically about the second child.
Even spiritually, the second child will be very good. Ninth house has Ketu.
Yes, that is what I said. Jupiter and Ketu in the 9th house means he will be very dharmic, he will be very spiritual. No doubt about it. But he is not so cheerful and pleasant like the first child. So, like the first child. First child will be easy to bring up because he is very easygoing. And second child is a little bit difficult to bring up because of Shani and Rahu influence on the first and third. So that is the difference between the children. And let us not see the wife and children of the second child. But this is how you see different children. Right? This is how you see the different children. And the rule is whenever you encounter Rahu, that is the end of it. So after first child, to get the second child, we have to cross over Rahu. So normally you would have said only one child in this case. Whenever you encounter Rahu, you stop there, no more children. But here, the sign that is, if you jump over Rahu, the sign that you are coming to next, it has Jupiter's aspect. If Jupiter has an aspect on that particular sign, or the Lord of that sign has a connection with Jupiter, then Jupiter will protect the child and the next child will come. Otherwise, there may not even be a second child in this particular case.
Is it because when you go over Rahu or when Rahu is in the terminating house?
If Rahu is in the terminating house, had Rahu been in Capricorn instead of Aquarius, that child would have come and that would have been the end. If Rahu is in the sign, that will be the last one. If Rahu is coming after the sign, this will be the end, unless the sign after it is strong. So here, the sign here is Capricorn, the Lord is in Jupiter's sign, and the sign is having sign aspect of Jupiter. Jupiter is having Rasi Drishti on this sign. So because of the strong Jupiterian influence, that particular child was protected and that child was born. Otherwise, it would have been only one child. But based on this, you know that there are two children. Had Rahu been not there, but let us say Rahu was, let us say here, or let us say Rahu was here, then there would have been a third child given by Scorpio. So based on this, you can see how many children are there, and then which child is given by which Lagna. You can take that Lagna and do predictions about the children. So if you, for example, if you see Venus Dasa, how will it be for the second child? For the second child, this is the Lagna. So Venus is the 6th Lord in the 7th house. So it's not really a great Dasa for the child. It's a Dasa of...
11th Lord also.
Yeah, 11th Lord. Yeah. But he is a functional male fig basically. He is a 6th and 11th Lord. So he is a functional male fig having aspect on Lagna. And 6th Lord can give some diseases, some sickness. So it's not a great Dasa. All we can say is it's not really a great Dasa for that particular child. But this Dasa will be good. When you come to Sun Dasa, in 2053, Sun Dasa will start. For the second child, Sun is basically the 9th Lord in the 6th house. 6th house is the house of service and 9th house is the house of protection. So the protection will come into his service. He will do very well in his job during that time. So that is a good time, but he should be a little bit watchful during Venus Dasa.
A question about this Rahu being in the middle of that chain.
Yeah.
If we don't see the strength of the Rahu in its own sign, so you will try to stop, or though Jupiter is having influence on
Yeah.
the other house, but Rahu is still stronger than Jupiter in that case.
Rahu's strength doesn't matter. Rahu, whether strong or weak, he does not look at that. He wants to stop. And Jupiter wants to continue. And another important point you should remember is, if depending on whether Jupiter is in a friendly sign or not, that matters. Whether Jupiter is in a friendly sign, if Jupiter is in, let us say, Saturnine sign, he may not be able to stop, continue. He may not be able to give the next step. But here Jupiter is in solar sign. He is in a sign of friend. So that is why Jupiter could dominate. And that is why, if you see that person's chart, because Jupiter's intervention gave this particular child, there should be a strong influence of Jupiter in his chart. Do you know his Lagna, where Jupiter is? Okay, you should remember, your assignment for the next class is, get your children's charts by heart. You should remember your children's charts. Okay, so with that we will end for today. The lessons that you have learned today are Drekkana and Saptamsa. You see the 3rd, 5th, 7th or 11th, 9th, 7th in Drekkana. In Saptamsa you see 5th, 7th, 9th, either forward or backward based on Lagna being given or odd. And then you take those signs as their lords as Lagna and give predictions about the child. And from that Lagna, if you find Upada, you can give predictions about the wife or husband of that particular sibling or child. And taking the 9th from Upada, you can see the overall fortune of the children of that particular relation. So that is how you see various relations, and we will continue with more examples in the next class. If you have any chart that really confused you, bring that chart so that we can all analyze that chart together in the next class. Yes, Seshugaru.
One question, in case of purchase of, we are saying that if sale would be, because of Mars in the place, if sale would be in a foreign land.
Maybe, yeah.
But in that case, if you consider the foreign land,
if he was born here, it is not foreign land for him. If he is born here, then Canada may be a foreign land, India may be a foreign land, London, UK may be a foreign land, but not here.
My first child was born in India, so.
Okay.
My first child is born in India, so.
So the strong Mars in the 9th house already took him abroad. So apparently he was born in India. Okay.
No, but if he was born here,
then it would have been, you would consider other countries as foreign land. Somebody born here, if he has a strong 9th house, let us say 9th house has an equally strong Mars aspected by Rahu, then the person would have probably been sent to India. When he is 4 years old, probably his parents got frustrated with the child and sent him to India for a few years. That is possible. So a foreign means not for him, for the child. Because we are seeing Leo as the Lagna for the child and taking 9 from there. So it is for him. Okay? Okay, with that we will conclude for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.